Hey Star, are you ready?
I'm a lady.
And welcome to iDOL Days, the show about idol anime. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Star.
And hey guys, guess what episode number it is? Nice.
69. 60 nice.
Star, would you like to explain the pun?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I'll start off by saying we originally had a different plan for this episode, and then, because it's a pun in Japanese, that 6 is Roku and 9 is
Q.
I always get 9 and 10 confused. Bad numbers. So rock is kind of used as like a lot of times you'll have like Japanese, it kind of like shortens things. And our original plan was to do the next season of Show by Rock, because Show by Rock is sometimes abbreviated to SB69. Show by Roku.
Nice.
And so Sarah was going to take the point on that one, but then she and I both were like, well, wait, that means we could do any show with the Roku pun in it. And Bocchi just came out and is really fucking good.
And then we're both like, well, you know what? We both already started watching.
And we had both already individually started watching it. Like, Sarah DM'd me the day after I had started watching it without telling her, because I was just curious. And she was like, hey, do you want to watch? It's like, I kind of want to watch Bocchi instead. And I'm like, no, Sarah, I started watching it last night.
Hey.
So we're both like, screw Show by Rock. Let's be topical and watch Bocchi, the new K-On!
Yup. It's the new K-On! And also, like, it's a memey enough series that I feel like it works for episode 69.
It's, oh god, it's so memey.
It's so memey. So, we're in it. We're doing Bocchi.
We're doing Bocchi. Happy 69th episode, everybody.
So, for those of you who don't know about Bocchi the Rock, it's not technically an idol anime. It's a band anime.
We're doing another one, but listen.
But listen, Roku. Cute.
Roku. 69.
Roku.
Nice.
So we had to do a band anime. It is another anime that's based off of a 4-koma manga. The author is a woman, which is cool.
Yeah.
So treats its characters very well. They're very funny. Like a lot of our 4-koma based anime episodes, we probably won't be explaining all the jokes because it won't be as funny as watching it visually. But
yeah, there's a lot of very visual and sometimes even audio specific gags in this show.
Yep.
You might have seen them on Twitter or TikTok because that's where I've definitely seen some.
Yep.
It's just they go I saw a thing, I can't remember, it must have been like a YouTube video or something where they talked about how the creators of this show completely innovated new styles of drawing and animation specifically to illustrate a mental breakdown. Every single episode.
Yeah. I love it.
It's very, very good. So, full disclosure right up front, Sarah has watched the whole show and will be leading us on this. I was planning on watching the whole show and doing it with her, but unfortunately, I had a mental breakdown and had to call Sarah and be like, Sarah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish Bocchi in time, Sarah.
Hugs.
It wasn't a full mental breakdown. I just felt like being dramatic, but it was definitely, Star is very overworked. Star is freaking out. Star doesn't have time to finish this anime.
Oh, no.
So I have watched half of it, but I haven't seen the second half, minus a couple of clips.
And I have watched all of it, and I will be happily explaining it to Star and the rest of you.
I'm excited! Tell me about a band anime, Sarah.
General things just about Bocchi. We did kind of lead into it, just full trigger warning at the front. Our main character, titular character, Bocchi, she has a very severe anxiety disorder. If talk about being afraid, like agoraphobia, being afraid of being out, people just having anxiety disorder is hard for you, you might not want to watch or hear this episode. So just be aware of that.
I mean, me personally, I found it painfully relatable, but that's just me.
Yeah, that's the other side of things, because I know at least I have an anxiety disorder, and sometimes I'm like, Bocchi, I'm not an introvert, but I feel you. I'm an extrovert with an anxiety disorder, and I feel you.
Which is such a fun combination.
Oh, it's awful.
So sorry.
It's horrible. Sometimes I'm like, I just want to be out and be with people, but also No.
I personally find it more relatable that she's just like, I'm hot shit, but no one knows it because I don't know how to talk to people.
I love her.
And I'm like, "Ugh, I hate that this is relatable to me. I just want people to see and acknowledge that I am good at things. I'm not good at everything, but I'm good at some things, and I want people to care.
You are. You're incredible.
Thank you, Sorrow.
You're killer.
I love you.
I'm your hype man.
I have killed a man, but that's unrelated.
Unrelated. It's okay. Beep boop.
Mm-hmm. For legal reasons, this is a joke.
So the band itself, like season 1 of the K-On, which is a show we will do one day.
Oh, Sarah, we're not gonna be able to avoid the K-On comparisons here. Let's just get that out of the way.
It's so much. So there are 4 main characters. I figure we'll go and talk about our 4 main characters ahead of time. There's a bunch of side characters, but we'll cover them when we get to them. How about that?
It's very good. Sarah, is this K-On for boomer or zoomers?
It is. So here's the other thing. Honestly, here's like the crazy so like there's so much so like I was reading like a this is going so out of order, but I was reading like one of the Reddit comments on like the last episode, and people were talking about how this really is like this generation's K-On, because like where K-On had a lot of like small scale, like the important part was like the concerts in their school and everything was very contained and like people didn't have cell phones. This is like the opposite, where it's like with technology and the internet, there's all these external things that add into everything, but still has the whole slice of life thing and the girls learning how to be in a band and a similar like slice of life vibe. It's great. K-On for boomers. Or zoomers, you're right.
We made the same mistake, both of us. We both made the same speech fuck up. I'm not alone in mispronouncing words.
Hey. And then also similar to where I forgot what band, but K-On, all of like the members' last names are the same as a J-rock band. Bocchi, they're also the same as
really.
Yeah, no, they all have same name, like they share a name with members of Asian Kung Fu Generation.
I love that!
When I looked it up, the reason why the author of Bocchi got into Asian Kung Fu Generation was because of Star. You guess. You know.
Is it because of Full Metal Alchemist?
Yeah,
Yeah!
She listened to Rewrite, and then she's like, actually, I like rock.
Da, da, rewrite, da, da. God, I love that song so fucking much. Go watch original Full Metal Alchemist. Just don't watch the ending.
But watch all the openings and endings. That's like the ending sequences, not the ending of the show.
Yes. The Ready, Steady, Go is iconic.
Incredible.
But Rewrite is my fucking jam.
Top tier. Incredible.
Absolutely. They also did the opening for Erased, which is a murder mystery show that your girl likes. So go listen to that too.
Bocchi itself is inspired by Asian Kung Fu Generation, which is so basically like that domino tipping meme. We have FMA and then we get Bocchi the Rock. Yes.
I love that. Love that for us. Love that for Bocchi.
So main character, her name or her nickname is Bocchi. Her actual name is Hitori Goto. She gets the nickname Bocchi later on because another character we meet makes a connection between Hitori Bocchi, meaning like lonely, and then just calling her Bocchi. She has social anxiety, like real bad.
Like real bad. Like, again, creating new forms of animation to illustrate the mental breakdown in like every episode. Your girl's got it bad.
But she has very long pink hair, blue eyes. She has like a little like hair tie that's like yellow and blue with like a little tiny piece of hair coming out of the side.
They look like those little plastic ice cubes that I had in college and never used.
Yes. And also later when she is in the band and even by her own, she plays guitar. So she's the guitarist. The next character I'll introduce him kind of in the order we meet them after Bocchi. There is Nijika Ijichi. She is the drummer.
She's the yellow one.
She's the one Sarah's like, you're like me. But she's like the leader of the group. She has long yellow hair and like one side ponytail. She's upbeat and a little extroverted, but not like Not like one of the other characters we'll meet.
I feel like she is definitely you. I can see it.
Yeah. So she's the cool drummer vibes.
Yee.
And the other next member we meet of the band is Ryo Yamada. Star, do you want to describe Ryo?
She blew.
She blew.
She blew. And her whole thing is like she's the bassist in the group. She's got like this blue hair. Isn't it kind of like she's got like a little hair accessory? I forget what it looks like.
It's like little clippies.
Yeah, she's got like kind of an asymmetrical haircut just slightly, but it's like short, dark, kind of like navy blue. I remember okay, so full disclosure, I just watched this without taking any notes, so all this is from my memory.
Good.
Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But wasn't there a thing that said like she just spends all her money on music shit, so she's completely flat broke?
Yep, she's broke. She's always asking for. She's like the stereotypical bassist.
Ow, I'm a bassist.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I own a bass. I haven't practiced it in years, but still, ow.
Well, this could be you.
No! Although, what I will say is I do relate to her in that she is kind of a loner like Bocchi, but she enjoys being alone, whereas Bocchi wants to have friends and wants to be in a band so fucking badly, but she's just so socially inept, whereas Ryo is just kind of like, yeah, peace, I'm an introvert, I don't care.
Yeah, she's happy with who she is.
Yes. Which is a broke-ass bassist.
Then our last character is Ikuyo Kita. She looks like if you take Ruby from Love Live, but you like
she is.
You take away a twin tail and then like you just make her hair a little thinner. That's what she looks like.
Red hair.
But she, unlike Ruby, is not shy at all. She is the extreme extrovert and also like loves talking to people, loves meeting people, and is like the super Genki happy one.
Yes.
And she becomes the second guitarist / vocalist.
I just realized that all of our main characters except for Ryo have little side ponytails. She's the only one that does not have one.
But she's still asymmetrical because she has the asymmetrical cut.
She do, it's true, but still.
Yeah. Ryo's just too cool.
Side ponytail the anime.
So there's more characters that are kind of side supporting cast members, but we'll get into it later. So why don't we go in? Yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we start the scene with our titular character, Bocchi, and she's just talking about her life, like how she was in preschool and she wanted to make friends, but when she went to go talk to someone, they like talked over her and she's like, well, I guess I won't talk, right? And then she is in elementary school and she goes to make friends and nobody wants to team up with her. And then she's in middle school and like, yeah, I'll finally make friends somehow, but no one like wants to be like hanging out with her. And she's like, wow, my life sucks, right? And it's also like, as she goes on and people don't want to hang out with her, she just becomes more and more like anxious, where it's not even like, she doesn't even like want to attempt to talk to other people. And then she's at home and she's watching TV like with her family, and a program comes on and there is a boy band on TV. And they're interviewing one of the people in the boy band, and the interviewer is like, wow, you used to be a loner in high school, but now you have all these girls fawning over you. How'd that happen? And he's like, oh yeah, I just joined a band. That's all I did.
And then she like is sitting on the couch watching this, and she turns to her dad and she's like, Dad, can I borrow your old guitar? Like immediately. It's so good.
So she gets really, really good at guitar, but does so without interacting with anybody anyways.
And she's like, wasn't it like, it's been 3 years and now I shred on guitar, but I still don't have any friends. Fuck shit.
Yep. So basically, she has like her closet set up to be a recording studio. And from her recording studio in her closet, she does shred, and she has a YouTube page set up.
Yeah, she's a YouTuber.
She's a YouTuber. We get our modern band kids now. And her username is Guitar Hero.
Of course.
And she has like, I think she says she has like 30,000 subscribers, so doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And the other thing is you can see immediately that even though she's monologuing about being alone all the time, it scrolls through like her talking about like her song, and she's like completely lying. Like there's like little text being like, "Yeah, I played this song with my friends, and they really enjoyed
Oh,
it, so I'm
really?
sharing it with all of you."
I didn't read it fast enough, so. Oh, baby,
Yeah.
that took a second, but that hurts me. It's like, oh no, little baby, she's role playing being cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then she's reading through her comments and she sees other people being like, "Yeah, I'm so glad your friends like it. My friends like it too." And some people are like, "Yeah, I'm going to play this with my band. I'm sure you love playing it with your band, right?" And then she's like, "Uh-oh, maybe I need to make friends actually."
Roblox oof noise.
Oof, oof, oof.
Oof. Oofer doofers.
So she's like, okay. I'm in high school now. I can make friends. I know what to do. And also, I shred a guitar. So she puts on like accessories from her favorite bands. And then she slings on her guitar and she just goes to school.
I have literally done this exact thing now. I have like worn, especially like at conventions, it's like I'll wear like shirts and things of stuff that I like, and I'll just like try and like aim my body like towards people so they can see what's on my shirt and be like, "Hey, do you want to come talk to me?" No, okay.
Yeah, because again, she wears all her stuff. She sees her classmates talking about like the band whose accessories she's wearing, but she's too nervous to go and approach them. She just waits for them to approach her, but by doing so, she doesn't have anyone talk to her.
And I was just like, "Oh, girl, same."
Oh no.
Same, baby. I've done this exact shit before.
Oh,
And it doesn't work. Except for the one time it did work, and that's how we met one of our friends in college.
Hey.
Hey.
So after school, she is sad and she walks to the nearby park near her house. Or actually, it was near the school. And she's like, "Wow, that didn't work. I'm going to be alone and I'm here at this lonely park and no one's going to love me, right?" And there's some visual gags that happen, but you'll have to watch it to find out. But while she's sitting there on the swings all sad, a random blonde girl, Nijika, who we find out later, runs up to her and she's like, "Oh my god, you have a guitar. Can you play guitar?"
Yeah, it's just like, "You, random person on the street. We need a guitarist. This is a moment of fate."
And then Bocchi's like, "I can play okay." And then she's like, "Okay, cool, come with me." And so she starts
Bocchi napped.
explaining that she is in a band and she's also a fellow high schooler. But there's a concert tonight and their guitarist just like up and left, no notice, just ghosted them. And she needs a replacement guitarist really, really quick. And you play guitar, you're with me. Let's go.
Let's go.
So the place that they go to is called Starry. So one of the characters, all of this does take place in like Metro Tokyo. So Starry itself, and all the live houses they go to, or some of the live houses they go to, are in Shimokitazawa, and a lot of the setting is in Shimokitazawa.
I have no idea where that is, full disclosure.
It's outside Tokyo. It's a little west. It's like my when I visited Tokyo, I'm like, this is my favorite part of town. It's actually great.
Oh, really? I've never been there.
It's how it is. It's a bunch of live houses, music stores, vintage clothing stores, which is what I was all over. And like it's just like it's like the weird like cool indie part of town. It's a good
It's
vibe.
the Austin of Tokyo.
It's the honestly, yeah, that's a great way to describe it. 100%.
Well, Sarah, when you and I eventually go back, you got to take me.
Yeah, definitely. So it's a cool vibe town. So it's fun that they put it as the setting, I think.
Yeah.
But the live house itself, it's called Starry in fiction. Apparently it's modeled after a real life live house, and it definitely, the real life one got, like
a boost.
yeah. So the real life place is definitely put out a like, "We don't have cute little high school girls playing here, but come see our live shows anyways."
Yeah. Maybe like we'll put a cardboard standee outside of it so you can take selfies with it, but just come watch people play music. That's what they did for like all the Love Live stuff in Shizuoka.
Yeah. You sent me pictures.
Yeah, we did that tour. Not me and Sarah, but me and another group of friends.
Yeah. And you got a lobster.
I did. I still have him. His name is Twinkle. I love him very much.
Star's mascot. Twinkle.
Yeah. Twinkle the lobster.
So Nijika takes Bocchi down into the lighthouse, is downstairs, and there she meets Rio. So you meet Rio for the first time. Rio is, as Star said, just like likes being introvert, is an introvert. It's just like sup, basically.
Sup. Sup, I'm the bassist. I'm blue, dabba dee dabba die, or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine. It's cool, whatever.
Yeah.
They go in the back to start playing and practicing before their live show, and Bocchi's like, I trained for this. I'm Guitar Hero on YouTube. I know how to play guitar. I'm gonna do so good.
I'm an influencer.
I'm an influencer. And so they go to start playing, and Bocchi is super out of sync, and Rio and Nijika turn to her and say, you suck, but you work anyways.
Don't they have like a little like guitar mascot that like pops up during this part and also later parts where it's just like, because here's the thing, if you want to play together as a band, it means playing together in sync with your bandmates. And Hitori is really good at playing by herself, but she's never played with a band before, so right now she fucking sucks.
And so she like hears this from everybody else, and she's like, wow, I'm the scum of the earth, I'm horrible, how am I ever supposed to play in front of other people? And she shrivels up to dust and she dies, and the credits start rolling.
Literally the credits begin to roll, don't they?
Yes, they do. This is a wonderful anime. I love this anime. It was made for me.
No, it absolutely was. I'm like, we're not Gen Z, but God, this is good shit.
It's some good shit. But anyways, she comes to after the credits roll with Nijika being like, hey, it's okay. We'll manage, just because we're not like perfect. It doesn't matter. This is just like our debut. We're all good. And Bocchi's like, okay, but I suck and I'm nervous, and how the hell am I supposed to show my face on the stage when I can't even like look at my fellow bandmates right now? And then Rio pulls out like a big cardboard box, and she's like, you can play from here, actually.
Play inside the box. It's your Solid Snake cosplay.
Yup. So
don't they draw like a face on it or something?
I think they do. And
so
also Nichika's like, it's okay, cheer up. She's like, there's people all over the world who are learning and experiencing, and everyone has different like levels of playing. And hey, there's like, maybe you can like get inspired by from some other guitarists. There's this person on YouTube I watch called Guitar Hero. You can like listen to her stuff, and maybe it'll make you better.
But doctor, I am Pagliacci. Oh, it's just so good. I love that gag. Oh boy.
Also, at some point, this is where like they're like, how would you like to be introduced on stage if you're trying to hide yourself? And that's when Rio, the bassist, is like, you're Hitori Bocchi, we'll call you Bocchi. And then Nichika's like, that's kind of like a mean nickname. But Bocchi's like, this is my first nickname I've ever had. I'm so happy.
Give it to me. Call me by my nickname. I've never had a nickname before. Treasured memories of youth.
And so they go on stage and they play. It's apparently a cover of another song. Or like another band song. And it's fun. The way that the show shows like this band being not awful but not good is really well done. It's not like they crash and burn on stage and everyone like dies or like a guitar string breaks. It really is just like, you can tell just by listening that they're out of sync. So it's done really well.
Yeah. Like, I remember K-On! Did that, too. Like, if you go back and listen to, like, their little practice, the very end... So sometimes there's, like, a scene transition. They do, like, you hear the last couple notes of the song they're practicing, and at the beginning of the season, it sounds fine. It sounds serviceable, but then you go back and, like, listen to the same scene transition stinger at the end of the season, and they're a lot more together, and I'm like, oh, that's good.
Yes, we appreciate some subtle audio storytelling.
In the band maze, yes,
we do. In the band maze. So they finish. Basically, they're like, well, that wasn't the best, but we did good enough. And so they're like, hey, Bocchi, do you want to go out to dinner with us later for an after party? And she's like, nope, I've had enough social interaction for the day. Bye.
My battery is drained and I must return to my closet. Goodbye.
But even then, she starts thinking about like how she can do better in the band. So it's like her kind of deciding, well, even though I played from a box, I'm not going to quit. I'm going to continue doing the band thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the ending. There's like cute little like Sanrio style like cutouts almost Sanrio style. The music itself is very like light rock, Asian Kung Fu Generation inspired. All right, episode 2.
Episode 2.
So episode 2 starts in media res. We see Bocchi. She is in a bathtub full of ice with an ice pack on her head, and she's in it miserable. And she's like, I just have to endure for a few seconds longer. And you're like, wonder how this happened. And then we rewind in time. So it's a week earlier. And we see the girls just doing like some slice of life stuff. So they're trying to figure out like how they want to bond. So they talk about like their school life. You find out that Nijika and Ryo go to the same school in Shimokitazawa, but it's a different school than Bocchi. Bocchi herself goes to a school in Shimokitazawa, but her home is 2 hours away. And she explains the reason why her house is so far away is because she didn't want to go to a high school where anyone knew who she was.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
I must have missed that detail. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
My God, girl.
You also find out here that Ryo is like, yeah, I don't really have friends at school. And then Bocchi's immediately like, oh, we're the same. And Ryo's like, yeah, because like other people aren't cool enough for me. And then Bocchi's like, we're not the same.
We're not the same. No, she's so powerful.
They also talk a little bit about like what kind of songs they want to play as a band, like what kind of music do you like? And Bocchi's only like thing was she's like, I can listen to anything as long as they're not like seishun songs, so not like any super happy everything will be okay songs because they make me die.
They make me die inside because I don't have happy little memories of youth. I'm emo and shit. I want to play some Fall Out Boy and to get the disco. Their first album, not the new shit.
So, you also find a little bit more about how like they're like trying to start the band, but like Ryo was in a former band. Nijika's just trying to start this band for the first time. They had the runaway guitarist who was also a vocalist, but she quit. So they need a new vocalist, and they also need to start writing music. And oh, by the way, Bocchi, you can write the lyrics, and Ryo will write the songs. And Bocchi's just nodding along, like not paying attention to her having to write the lyrics.
Yep.
But the other thing you learn is just some band culture in Japan, especially for indie bands, which is next time they play, they have to make sure they meet their venue quota. And so Bocchi's like, what's that? And Ichika says, well, venues cost money to run. Some bigger indie bands, they can play and they make up like all the time, like just from all the ticket sales, they are able to pay the venue with that. However, smaller indie bands, especially like them who are just starting out, they need to make sure they have money up front to pay the venue because there's no way they're going to make the appearance fee just from tickets. So Nijika's like, well, what we have to do is we'll all have to get part-time jobs to help fund the band. And Bocchi is like, then goes into a mind spiral about having a part-time job as a person who is afraid of other people.
Mind spiral is a good way to put it.
Yeah. But Nijika snaps her out of it and is like, well, Bocchi, why don't you work here at the live house with me? And Bocchi's like, you have jobs here? And then Nijika's like, yeah, my sister owns the place, actually.
Womp womp.
So now we're back at the beginning where Bocchi has this job offer and she's supposed to play or help out with the next, like tonight with the live like venue serving drinks at the bar, because I guess you can do that when you're a high schooler in Japan.
I mean, does it say that they're serving alcohol or is it just like juice and stuff?
People ask for alcoholic drinks.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. So they might be versions of that, but they don't say that when they order.
Interesting.
But either way, Bocchi knows that she has this job, and now she is going to do everything in her power to get sick so she can skip out on work.
So she lay in the frozen tub.
She lay in the frozen tub. She goes outside in the rain. She does like the hot and cold really fast. She does whatever she can. But alas, it is time for her job, and her temperature is normal and she feels okay.
She's like, damn it.
As a last resort, maybe I'll text Nijika and say I can't make it for whatever excuse, but also the problem is a person with anxiety, she doesn't really want to make an excuse because telling a lie is anxiety inducing for her too. And as she goes to make her call out text, Nijika's like, I'm so excited to work with you for the first time today. This is going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
And Bocchi's like, well, I'm stuck now.
Oops.
So she goes to work. They are serving drinks. Bocchi is too nervous even to like get out from behind the counter. Like she's hiding below it. Then while the other band goes on stage, the bar gets less busy because everyone's going there to listen to the music. And Nijika starts talking and she's like, Bocchi, I'm so glad you came here to work with me. Like, I grew up in like this live house. It means so much to me, and it really means a lot to have like a band and sharing it with you and Rio. And part of the reason why I asked you to work here wasn't just to make money, but also just so you could get to love the live house too.
It's cute.
And Bocchi like emerges from behind the counter. And she's like listening to Nijika, and she's watching the other band play. And she's starting to get inspired, and she's like, well, Nijika has really solid reasons to be here. I really want to make friends, but I also know the only way I'll get better and be able to make our band better is to at least like be able to look up from my guitar just for a second, or like not hide behind a mango box. And so she promises herself that the next customer that comes, she's going to look him in the eye and she's going to serve her drink herself. And she does that. And she absolutely looks terrified the entire time. The customer is a little like, well, that's a little silly, these teens. But Bocchi did it. She got a little bit past her anxiety.
Level up. Do-do-do-do-do-do.
And then at the very end, Bocchi's like, I did it. I'm so excited. I can come back to work the next day, and I'm excited for practice. I'm going to overcome my anxiety. And as she's walking home, she sneezes because she did give herself a cold just a little bit too late.
Whap. Good job, Bocchi. You fucked it up.
And also, a very last scene, Nijika's like, yep, there's the three of us. We're so close. Now, all we have to do is find a vocalist because I can't sing. You don't want to hear Rio sing. And Bocchi, even if you can sing, we know you can't. So now they're on a hunt for a vocalist. Next episode!
Yeah, episode 3!
So Bocchi's like, okay, vocalist. My new goal is finding a vocalist. And she's like especially motivated because I guess she's been like out of practice for the last week because she caught a cold. So she's like, I have to pay them back somehow. I'll find a vocalist at my school. So she does what she did before and straps on her guitar and accessories and goes to school and doesn't talk to anyone in her class.
The same shit again.
So she's all stressed. She like is like hiding. She like hides on like the bottom floor, like under the staircase a lot because nobody goes there. And while she's hiding, she overhears some other people in her school. And these girls are like, wow, Kita was so good last night at karaoke. And then her ears perk up and they're like, yeah, and I heard she plays guitar too. She was even in a band before. And Bocchi's like, what? Who? And then she peeks over and she sees Kita and is immediately intimidated because Kita is mega extrovert. She's like hugging on her friends. She's like texting and using social media and is like, oh yeah, it was so much fun. Let's hang out this time. Let's hang out that time. I love being social and being an extrovert and people. And Bocchi's like, oh God, I'm scared.
Terrifying.
But she musters up the courage and she goes to Kita's classroom and kind of like, stands there and thinks about how she will approach her without approaching her. But Kita, being the extrovert, looks over at her and she's like, oh, who are you? Do you have a guitar on your back?
Oh, whoa.
Are you in a band? You're so cool. And so they start talking because Kita approached Bocchi. And Kita's like, yeah, I love guitar. I wish I knew guitar. And then Bocchi's like, I overheard that you like were in a band. And Kita's like, yeah, well, I joined a band to follow a senpai I have a crush on, but I don't actually really know guitar. I only know how to do basic chords.
Yep.
And Bocchi's like, well, maybe I can teach you and it'll be okay. And then she like Bocchi does like play a little bit for Kita, and like Kita's all like, oh my god, you're incredible. Yes, please teach me. You have to teach me.
Mhm.
And so Bocchi's like, well, I'll teach you, but like I have a thing after school. I have band practice, so I can't really like stay that late. And Kita's like, oh, let me come with you. I'll go to band practice with you.
We're gonna go to band practice together.
So they go to Shimokitazawa, to the live house, and as they get closer, Kita's like, "Oh, so what's the name of the place we're going to?" And then Bocchi's like, "Oh, we're going to the live house named Starry." And then Kita's like, "Oh, I can't go there. I'm sorry. Bye."
Bye.
But before she takes off, Nichiko runs up and is like, "Oh, hey, Bocchi, here for practice. Wait a second, is that the runaway guitarist?"
Yes, she is running away right now.
So yes, Kita was the guitarist slash vocalist that they had earlier that like ditched them the day of the concert, and Bocchi just happened to find her.
Convenient.
Convenient. They go to the live house because Nichika's like, no, you're not running away a second time. You're coming back and you're gonna work off your debts, basically. So they go into the live house. Nichika's sister, who runs the live house, so one of our other main characters, she looks like, okay, Nijiga's sister does become a reoccurring character. So Nijika being blonde with one ponytail, her sister is also blonde, long hair. She reminds me of like the manager from New Game, for anyone else who watches slice of life stuff.
No.
But she's like very much like tries to be the cool older sister type, but like comes off as intimidating, but like is really just like actually cares about like her younger sister and her younger sister's friends.
Also, she's hot and I like her.
Yeah.
She's very much my type. I'm like, oh.
Hell yeah. But anyways, Nijika's sister, she has a name. We'll just call her Nijika's sister just so there's not as many characters to remember. Puts Kita in a maid outfit and tells her like, work off your debt basically for not paying us back for the band thing. Kita immediately like takes to all the customers, serves them drinks, looks them in their eye, and then Bocchi's watching all of this like, I have been replaced. And so she just like, one thing that Bocchi does often when she feels sad or has a strong emotion, she just takes out her guitar and starts playing like a sad song to herself. So she does play the whole I've been replaced by a runaway guitarist song. But then Kita comes up to her and she's like, no, I could never replace you. You're wonderful. Also, I still need to learn guitar because I actually don't know how to play. And then Kita's like, so Bocchi, and they like kind of go to the side and Kita's like, well, Bocchi, I told you I wanted to join a band because I want to be closer to my senpai. Why did you want to join a band? And then Bocchi in her head is like, I wanted to join a band so I could become rich and famous and make friends. And then out loud, she's like, world peace.
She's such a dork.
Yeah, Bocchi. But in this conversation, two important things happen. One important thing for Sarah and her shipping brain is Kita confesses that the senpai that she wanted to join a band for, who she has a crush on, is Rio. Hilarious. Love it. Girls in love for it. Also, Sarah's shipping aside, a lot of people ship all of the characters together. People ship Bocchi with Kita. Solid. People ship Bocchi with Nijika. Nijika with Rio. Rio with Kita. Love all of it. Serious for all the ships. Send me all of them.
Love Square.
Love Square. I'm for all these ships. The other thing that happens too is while they're being comforted, like Kita does like the thing where like she holds Bocchi's hand and is like, everything will be okay. But while she's doing that, Bocchi notices that she has calluses on her fingers. And so Bocchi's like, okay, even though she's not good at guitar, you can tell she like actually was making a serious attempt.
Because the whole idea is that like when you play guitar and you put your fingers on the strings, it's very hard to press down on them and it can tear up your fingers a lot. So if you have the calluses on your fingers, it means that you've been practicing a lot.
Yes, exactly. So it's like the end of their work shift / practice, and Kita's like, well, I better get going. And Nichika's like, well, aren't you gonna join our band? Because you know how to sing and we need a singer. And then Kita's like, I can't join your band because I already like checked out on you once and I don't deserve to be in your band. I gotta go. But then Bocchi's like, oh, you didn't see me the other day when I was in the mango box, actually. She's like, I've done worse, so you should join after all. And Kita's like, well, maybe. And then Ryo's like, yeah, join our band. We need a vocalist. And then Kita's like, yes, senpai. Anything for you, senpai. And then there's some gags about how like Kita accidentally buys a bass instead of a guitar because it was a bass with extra strings. It happens. But you do get a cut later to Bocchi and Kita practicing together, and it's very cute. You could tell that like she's not a great guitarist yet, but she knows her chords and is practicing, and you can use this as a bass line for later.
A bass line?
A bass line! All right, next episode 4.
Cuatro, let's go.
Episode 4 starts with the girls like being like, how can we market ourselves and feel more like a band, basically. I didn't mention this earlier, but it does come up. They come up with merchandise, but their band's name, by the way, is Keshoku Band, which is just like Keshoku being like bond. So their name is basically like band. And their little like their little icon is just like a wrist strap. So they're like the band.
Like a little
yeah, it's like a zip tie. It's like a little zip tie, but with the intent of it being worn around your wrists because they sell it as merchandise later. So they're the band.
The band?
The band. 3 different types of band. So they're all coming up with ways like to market themselves, to like make, t-shirts, make merchandise. And then Bocchi's like trying to think of a way she can contribute. And Nijika's like, oh, and Bocchi, you don't have to worry about any of this because I know you're already working really hard on the lyrics for our music. And then Bocchi's like, wait a second. And then she flashes back to like episode 1 and she's like, oh yeah, I didn't say no to that, did I?
Oops.
And so now we have the Coming Up with Lyrics episode, a staple of our iDOL podcast.
Yep.
So Bocchi realizes that she has to come up with lyrics. She kind of has a time limit because she wants to do it before people start like yelling at her and she loses all of her friendships and gets kicked out of the band because anxiety spiral. So she tries really, really hard, but she also knows that Kita, the mega extrovert, is going to be their main singer. And she's like, well, I can't come up with my normal lyrics because someone like super happy and Genki like Kita, there's no way she could sing it because it would just put everyone down and make them sad. So she tries hard. You can see her scratching on paper with like just very much like happy lyrics. Like you see like believe in yourself or like never give up. And she's like, I don't know how to write like this. But like the next day, she's still like not getting it when Nijika texts her and she's like, hey, meet up with us at Shimokitazawa Station. And so she goes there and then she's there with like one of like a there's like a paper sign in front of her, like I failed to do my assigned homework, basically, like shaming her, but she made it herself to shame herself.
Yep. It's like, oh, baby.
It's like, don't jump the gun. You're okay. They're not mad at you. Because the reason why they're together is not to read the lyrics that Bocchi was supposed to write that she put her like imaginary time limit on. However, it was to take some promo pics because they don't have any pictures with all of them as a band. Their previous picture, there was a gag where it was just Nijika and Ryo and Kita like really badly photoshopped in. So they really need to.
Yeah. No, it was really badly photoshopped.
It's so badly photoshopped in.
It's so cute.
And so they wander around Shimokitazawa. This is where it's probably like just some like visual things for people who live there, who have visited there, like a lot of scenery.
And all the people who will go there now because this anime took place there and they have to have spots for their eventual Bocchi the Rock pilgrimage.
Tourism! Yay!
Tourism!
But then they find like a cute looking wall. It's just like painted with like a wall painting of like a tree and it's cute. And Bocchi's like, why don't we take pictures here? And they're like, sure. And so they do the thing where they all try to take pictures, but like they're not very congruous because like Bocchi can't do like the happy yay poses, and then they tried to pose like Bocchi, and they're like, we look not happy. This is not good. Um, but then Kita's like, well, actually, why don't we do like a jump pic, like jump up in the air and take a picture? And they do, and it's pretty cute. At some point around this time too, Kita's like, I'll market myself as, or I'll take over social media. I'll make us a social media account and like market us as a band. So,
But we should all get our own individual social media, right? Which is
And
what leads to the best Bocchi breakdown.
yeah, talk about Star.
So basically, does the scream come before or after the Godzilla flashback?
Oh, I
And
think
just that sentence is great.
yeah,
on
I
its
think I think
own.
the scream is because the Godzilla does like the beam and then she comes out of it screaming.
Yeah, so basically, like, if I'm forced to put out my thoughts on social media, it's gonna give rise to the social media monster. And it's just like Bocchi in like a Godzilla Kigu towering over the city, and she's breathing fire, and you just hear her little voice go, like my pose! Like my pose! And it's very, very, very funny. Like, this gag was one panel in the manga, and they drew it out into like this whole movie, basically.
It's so
And then
powerful.
when she comes back from the daydream, she's just like laying on the ground. And Sarah, you have to find this clip and put the audio in it because the scream that her voice actor does sounds like what happens when you take the RAM sticks out of a computer while it's still turned on.
That's the other thing is all their voice actors go hard in this, especially Bocchi's. She's incredible.
No, it just sounds. The sound that she makes is not a sound that humans should be able to make, but apparently her voice actress can just do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, I love you. I love everything about this. And also, like, the animation during her screen is just like this, like she alone in this panel is like computer glitching.
Oh yeah. They do wild things with the animation in this show.
It's so funny. There's probably like a compilation of the breakdowns on YouTube.
I'm
Just
sure.
go, if you don't have time to watch the entire anime, go find that somewhere on YouTube because it is worth watching. It is fucking great.
But also if you like comedy or slice of life, just watch the anime. It's so good.
Watch the anime, but like if you just really want to see the gags,
Oh yeah.
like the compilation will almost certainly. In fact, I might go look at it later just to relive them.
And I know Star had mentioned this at the beginning, but the animation in Bocchi is incredible. So first of all, there are like the weird spiral breakdowns where like they just like mix different types of like multimedia animation. So so different sorts of animation. You get 3D on top of 2D. You get some live action composited on 3D. You just get some weird vibe colors sometimes. It's incredible. It's beautiful, and it's just really delightfully weird.
I could be wrong because, again, I didn't watch the full show, but at least from what I remember, the instruments are in 3D, but the characters are in 2D, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, well, sometimes they are and sometimes they aren't. So they do a lot of 3D. Sometimes it's very clearly 2D, but 2D rotoscoped. So they kind of mix it up a lot. And then even just like the normal, like day-to-day normal animations, it's done really beautifully. It was done by Cloverworks, who's been putting out some like really crazy, beautiful animations recently. So shout out to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We love anime.
With anime. Back to Bocchi. So
Bocchi!
basically they're like, okay, Bocchi, you don't need to do social media after all. Actually, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I don't think I can stand listening to that noise you just made anymore, so you don't have to make an Instagram page, it's fine.
Yeah. But they do share the pictures with all of them in their little text chain, so Bocchi has the picture now. And so she goes home. You get a scene of her printing out a bunch of copies of the picture, which later you find out she plasters all over her wall.
Like, it is literally like she used it as a texture map over her entire room, and it's like, whoa, girl. If the police were in here, they would think some things about you, darling.
But she anyways, she like starts like trying to channel like what kind of lyrics. So she's like, I got a good vibe with my friends. We took that jump pick. Let me channel what type of lyrics a cheery person like Kita would sing. And so she like impersonates Kita and like tries to act cheery. It freaks out her family and they perform an exorcism basically. um, but finally she comes up with something and she's like, okay, who in the band can I text that is the safest person to text without getting too carried away? And she's like, Rio's the only person who won't get completely carried away with this. So she goes to meet Rio at a little cafe. They sit in silence for a while, and then Rio's like, okay, lyrics. And Bocchi's like, oh yeah, yep, here we go. And Rio like reads over the lyrics and she's like, okay, Bocchi, let me talk to you. So I was in a band before. You knew this, right? And Bocchi's like, yeah. And she's like, the reason why I quit the band is they just like went too mainstream, basically.
Yeah.
She's like, they were trying to like market to the masses. They weren't themselves. You could tell it was really disingenuous. And she's like, I can see you're trying to make music that'll market to the masses. But I quit my old band because of this, so please don't do that, actually.
Yeah.
And Bocchi's like, well, I was just trying to make music that Kita could sing, because, like, if I write my normal stuff, like, that'd be really weird if someone really, what if there was sad lyrics and a happy melody? Nobody ever does that. That'd be awful.
No one, it's not like some of Star's favorite music is exactly like that. Wow.
But Rio's like, nah, just write your own thing and we'll make it work, because, like, your own thing's good. And so Bocchi goes home and rewrites the lyrics. Rewrite, like Asian Kung Fu Generation's lyrics.
Rewrite those shit.
And
I don't know the lyrics. You're just gonna have to deal with that.
Yeah. And the next day, she meets up with their band and is like, well, here's my lyrics. Sorry, they're not happy. But they all look over them and they're like, this is really Bocchi. And they're like, and we can work with that because we like Bocchi. And that night, she lays in bed and she thinks about how happy she is to finally be in a band and finally be with friends. And it zooms out, and that's when you see her wall plastered with copies of the same image over and over.
Yep.
Episode 5. So, as episode starts with all the girls getting their first paycheck. Yay, they got paid. Also, Rio presents all of the other girls with like a music score, and she's like, yeah, I got Bocchi's lyrics the other day, and like I really got inspired, so I came up with music right away. And they all like listen to the MP3 and they're like, yeah, this is awesome, we're gonna kick butt, right?
Yeah. This is something I've always wondered about, like actual music production. How do you write the lyrics before you know what the song sounds like?
I feel like it can go either way. So I know that there are actual like songs where like the original lyrics were just like a poem and they made a song based off of it. So it probably just depends on like the production pipeline of the people who wrote it.
Yeah, I find music so fascinating as something that I really know nothing about and have no experience with. And I'm just like, you can do that? How does that work?
You could go in whatever order you want.
Lyric writing in particular is like the one thing that I struggle with the most. It's like if I ever tried to make music, I'm just like, I don't fucking know how to write lyrics. What the fuck?
Well, you need a Bocchi and then she'll write your lyrics for you.
Yeah. I need to go find an introvert to adopt, which is ironic because I'm an introvert. And Bocchi's not an introvert. She's just anxious.
She's just anxious, yes. Rio's the introvert. So, they get all excited about the music, and then Ichika's like, okay, we have our song. We're gonna work towards getting an album. I'm gonna go talk to my sister and see about figuring out when she can fit us in the schedule for the band. And so she like collects all their paycheck and is like, this is our venue fee. Sorry, you don't have money anymore.
Bye with your money.
But she goes up to her sister, and her sister's like, what do you mean about a time where you can be in the venue? I never promised you that. And then Ichika's like, well, why did you let us play last time? You didn't even hear us then. And her sister's like, I just wanted to give you like a high school memory. I'm not going to just like keep giving out my life house for you for free. No nepotism in my life house. And then like Nijika's like starts like yelling at her sister, like, I know where you sleep. I know you still have a stuffed animal. I hate you, sis, and leaves, right? So Rio and Kita go run after Nijika, and Bocchi like slowly goes behind, but she's like a little slower about it because she's like, the situation is awkward. What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
But her sister stops, or Nijika's sister stops her and is like, hey, Bocchi, deliver this message to my sister. So the message is that her sister wasn't giving Nijika a harsh no. It was just that she wasn't going to have a nepotism arrangement. So if
Mm-hmm.
the girls want to play at the live house, they're going to have to audition for her. And they have 1 week, and her sister will listen. And if she deems them worthy, they'll be able to play at the next gig.
Yeah.
And so all the girls are like, okay, we have a chance. We have a chance. So what we need to do is we just need to show our sister that we have growth as a band, show her that like we're great with Kita, show her that like Bocchi doesn't have to be in a cardboard box this time. And we also have this
Yeah.
new song, and hopefully with the new song we'll convince her, right?
Yep.
So you get a bunch of montage scenes and a few like visual gags of them being like, let's figure out what growth means. Let's show what growth as a band means. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a lot of like them playing, or like Kita's fingers calluses breaking and bleeding a little bit. There's even like a scene where Rio dresses up him up as like pretty J-pop boys.
No, I remember that.
It's like
they
we
all
did
have
it.
like the same hair.
Yep, like the flop over perm hair.
Yep. It's like, oh boy, a couple of my students had that hairstyle.
That's how they get famous. But
Yep.
on the last night of practice, Bocchi is leaving, going to, I guess, take her 2-hour commute home. When Nijika stops her and is like, hey, Bocchi, can I talk to you for a second? And she's like, okay, so this is kind of bad timing because I know we're about to audition tomorrow, but like a month ago, I basically forced you to be in this band, and I never actually asked you if you really want to be in it. So this is an open, you can get out if it's not making you happy. Because here's the thing is, I love our band. I have my own goals, and I've just been like so like bullheaded in like achieving my goals. I realize I'm getting other people carried along with me. So this is the check-in, like, are you okay?
Mm-hmm. Which is good. It's good to show that.
Yeah, it's very good. And then Bocchi's like, no, actually, I do like being in the band. At first, it was just because I had a hard time saying no, but honestly, secretly, I am someone with social anxiety, and I just was waiting for someone to approach me, and you did, basically.
How convenient.
And then Nijika's like, yeah, that makes me really happy. I really hope I can share my dream with you. It's not time yet for me to give you the exact details, but we're going to kick butt on the audition tomorrow. And then she like
That's
does like a
cool.
cute little bye-bye, and like the animation is super beautiful. And I'm like, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's the day of the audition. The night before, Bocchi talks about how the night before she was just thinking really hard about how Nijika was talking about how she had a dream, and her dream as a band. And Bocchi like took that time afterwards to internalize like, well, my dream originally was to like not be lonely anymore, right? And to get super famous and also make a ton of money so I don't actually have to have a real person job. Fair. But she's like, but maybe actually my dreams changed a bit, where it's not just getting rich and famous and having a ton of money. It's getting rich and famous and having a ton of money with my new bandmates.
Yeah.
So they go on stage for the audition. Their song that they only play one song on the audition. It's called Guitar Solitude in the Blue Planet. It is, as described, a very fun rock song with very sad lyrics, just ham on guitar. And like Nijika's sister looks at her and is like, where have I heard that guitar playing before?
Suspicious. It's probably nothing.
As Star mentioned, it's mixed between like 2D, 3D, and 2D rotoscope. So it's a very interesting style. There's also, because of rotoscope and 3D, it's not just like flat of the stage. You get some interesting camera angles. Like you could tell they rotoscoped over like a video taken from a GoPro on the bridge of the guitar, you know?
Yep. Very cool vibes.
So they finish their audition, and afterwards, Nijika's sister's like, well, that was okay. Drums, you were a little off. Bass, you're in your own world. Drums or guitar, you need to like actually look up. And so all the girls get like super down. And then she's like, yeah, but I can see what kind of band you are now. And the girls are like, okay, we'll try better next time. And they're like getting ready. They're like bowing and saying thank you. And a character I didn't mention before, there is like an assistant at the live house. She's like a cute goth girl, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And cute goth girl's like, you should tell them what you actually mean and not try to just be the stiff old sister. And then she's like, okay, fine. I told you I can see what kind of vibe you are as a band. That means you're in. That means like you're actually put together and you have a vision. You got it. You're on stage now.
Yay! We have defeated nepotism.
Yay! And so they're all excited. They hug each other. Bocchi, after all of this, finishes. She suddenly gets really nauseous and nervous, and then there is like a 10-second cut of a bunch of dams in real life, live action footage. So she goes to mop it up, right? Her vomit.
Mm-hmm.
And sister looks over at Bocchi and is like, yeah, she's actually a very good guitarist. I think all she needs to do to actually be good in this band is to have some more encouragement. So she walks up to Bocchi and she's like, don't worry, kid, I'm watching you.
I remember this. And Bocchi gets just like, oh God, she hates me. He's like, sister, you say what
You're
you
trying.
mean.
She's trying so hard, but she's also not great at communicating.
Nope.
There's also a little scene where the goth girl assistant talks to sister and is like, I know you wanted to accept them from the start. And sister's like, yeah, I was always planning on letting them be on stage, but the reason why I had them audition is because I don't want Nijika to think that they're not good enough and only got in because of nepotism. That's why I wanted them to work hard and actually, like, audition. And so you're like, oh, she's a good sister, actually.
Yeah. And I mean, also, like, at the same time, you want to make sure that, you know, they're actually good if you're going to be putting them on the stage.
Especially if you own the place, you want to have integrity in your life house.
Yep.
So all the girls are like, yay, we got it. Now all we have to do is for our time, which is like next week, we all have a 5-ticket quota for tickets we need to sell, so we make the venue fee. Mm-hmm. And then there is a scene where you see, it's like a live action hand and it's counting down. It's from Bocchi's perspective. And she's like, 5 tickets. And there's like 5 fingers up. And she's like, Mom, Dad, sister, dog. And then she's like, Mom, Dad, sister, dog. Mom, Dad, sister, dog. And then she realizes she doesn't have a 5th person, not realizing that, first of all, her little sister is like 4, and also her dog is a dog.
Her dog is a dog and cannot buy a ticket to the live house. So she actually has to sell 3.
Yup.
And she's just like,
So episode 6, we start up with our little guitar guy coming up and giving us a summary about how Bocchi needs to sell tickets, basically.
Yep.
And we see Bocchi at home, and she's like with her mom and her dad, and it's like her mom's like, you know, we can't bring the dog to the concert, right? And she's like, I kind of guessed that. And she's like, and mom's like, and also your sister's too young to be at like a live house where alcohol's being served. And Bocchi's like, oh, okay. And then mom's like, oh, if you don't have anyone you can ask, I can ask some of my friends, or dad can ask some of his friends at work. And then Bocchi's like, my parents are going to think I'm so lame if I ask them to invite their friends.
But then later, isn't she like, I should have just asked my mom for help?
Because she's like out on like at a park near her house, again 2 hours away from the live venue, and she's like, I have to pass out these flyers, but I am an anxious person and I can't confront people to pass out flyers. This sucks. I can't also. And then she like goes down to like look at her like text messages, and all of her bandmates are like, I sold all 5. And someone else is like, me too. And then she's like, oh God, they're going to think I'm so lame if I don't sell my 5 tickets.
Right. It's like, oh, baby, you can just ask them for help. It's okay. But she's too prideful for that.
She's way too prideful because see, the problem is she's anxious, and she knows she's anxious, but she doesn't want to admit it to anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets up to like share her flyers, but like she's so nervous that like they start like falling out of her hands when right in front of her a drunk lady stumbles in and collapses on the floor.
Suddenly a new character appears.
So this new character, she's another side character. Her name is Hiroi. She has like magenta hair and like a side braid. She has like super closed eyes. Her teeth are all fangs. So imagine she probably has just really bad teeth if you imagine her in real life.
I just love that you could have just said she has shark teeth or something, but you went for her teeth are all fangs.
All fangs. Yes, shark teeth. And she always wears like geta, so she's always wearing like the wooden sandals. But she is super drunk. At first, Bocchi's like, "Are you okay? Do I need to call an ambulance?" And she's like, "Yeah, I just need water and some rice porridge and a bunch of salty snacks and some more alcohol." And Bocchi's like, "Okay, you're fine, actually, right?" But she does go and get her things anyways. So like she's just kind of drunk and she's like, "Yeah, oh, that's cool. Do you have a guitar? Do you play guitar, kid?" And then Bocchi's like, no, actually I just picked up this guitar today and actually I have to go turn it back in. Bye." And then the drunk lady just gets really teary and is like, "Don't give up on music, kid. For me, music is my life. You don't even know how wonderful it is."
I'm rooting for you, kid. You're gonna go far, kid.
And Bocchi's like, I can't do this. I feel so bad about lying. I can't lie. I'm too anxious to lie." And she's like, "I'm actually not a novice. I know how to play guitar." And Drunkley's like, "Oh my god, I'm in a band too. Alcohol and bass, they're just my life. I never go anywhere without either." And then Bocchi's like, "Well, where's your bass then?" And Drunk Lady's like, "Oh, I think I left it at the last venue I went to." And so she and Bocchi go to retrieve her bass, which it was at the last place she left. And then we get a cut where her bandmates, Bocchi's bandmates, are all like sitting around together. And they're like, Bocchi's late to practice. I hope she's okay. And they are like, "Maybe we shouldn't have sent that group text about selling all our tickets. We'll be fine without them. And we know how Bocchi is. Maybe we completely killed her by doing that. Uh-oh."
Maybe she's dead now.
Back with Bocchi and Drunk Lady, she introduces herself with her actual name, so Hiroi. She says she's in a band. She talks about how, like, "Yeah, I'm in a band, and between the band and, like, my bass or my life, like I mentioned." And Bocchi's like, "So why are you, like, drinking so much?" And she's like, "I drink to dull the pain of being an adult," basically. And she's like, "Yeah, between, like, taxes and money issues and, like, anxieties about the future, I need alcohol." And she's like, "And don't worry, kid, you'll understand it in the future." And Bocchi's like, "I hope I don't understand it in the future, actually."
It's like, that sounds terrifying, and I don't like that.
And Bocchi's like, "Well, just, I get it though. My life sucks too." And then she like kind of lets it all out. Like, "I don't have any friends and I need to sell 3 more tickets to make the venue fees. And I can't face my bandmates like this. And we're going to fail and die. And it's all my fault that the band won't succeed." And then, Hiroi is like, "Yeah, kid, you do got it bad. But hey, you know what? I feel sorry for you. I'll help you out," basically. And so she calls a friend, I guess, to bring some amps. And she's like, "Okay, let's have a street concert." And Bocchi's like, "What?"
It's like, oh god, what the hell? This drunk girl's wrapping me up into doing band things. Like I'm in a band or something. Oh god.
I think the bigger fear was that it was on a public road. So I guess,
I mean, yeah.
throughout the episode, you do see a lot of people walking around in yukata, and so Hiroi's like, "Yeah, there's like this big festival going on." So like it was told visually in the background, but right now it's said explicitly. And she's like, "We'll get a pretty decent audience. Maybe we'll find someone to buy your tickets." And Bocchi's like, "I can't do a street performance. I couldn't even talk to people with flyers because I'm afraid of them." But Hiroi's like, "Well, here's the thing: is like when you're playing your music, your audience, you don't need to be afraid of them because they're not your enemies. They're like, the reason why they're there and listening to you is because they like you, and you just automatically have someone liking you, so you don't actually have to be afraid of them. And hey, worst case, just close your eyes while you play." And Bochi's like, okay, close my eyes while I play. I'm good enough I can do that. I know how to close my eyes while I play. Hiroi starts playing her bass. So she's really cool. She uses like a pick like a shamisen would use. And she just kind of like strums
I
cross
noticed
legs.
that, and I was like, can you play bass like that?
Yeah, I guess so. Why not? I mean, people don't usually use picks for bass, but
I mean, people do.
then why not use any pick you want?
Yep, true.
And Bocchi is like closing her eyes and playing, and she's playing pretty easily because she's like imagining that she's alone in her like closet in her room. But while she's doing that, she's listening to Roy's music, and she's like, okay, well, she told me that my audience isn't my enemy. She's like, over and over, she's like, my audience isn't my enemy. My audience isn't my enemy. And she opens her eye. So you find out later it's only one eye. And she looks out and she sees a very small crowd. It's not huge. There's like 5 people, including 2 girls in the front and yukatas. And they're all excited and cheering along and listening, like really interested. And she's like, okay, well, I guess that wasn't so bad after all. My audience is not my enemy, right? So after they finish playing, the 2 girls in the front who are excited, they like point to one of her flyers and they're like, you have tickets to see your band? Can we buy some? And Bochi's like, oh yeah. And so they buy her tickets as her fans.
It's so cute.
Yeah. And in the end, Bocchi starts wrapping up and she's like, I sold 2 tickets. She's like, I still have 1 ticket left to sell, but I'll just have my dad pay for it, basically. And she's like, I'll be okay. And then Hiroi's like, hey, kid, I'm going to buy your last ticket off you. And then Bocchi's like, wait, really? And she's like, yeah, I wouldn't miss it. Because like, she's like, you really killed it out there. You're great at guitar. I'm totally going to watch you at the show. And so she buys her last ticket and Bocchi's like, and then she like starts walking off to the train station. She's like, wow, people in like indie bands are so cool. I wish I could be like her one day. And then Hiroi comes back and is like, actually, that money was the last of my train fare. Can I have a loan? And then Bocchi's like, actually, rockers are really lame.
Rockers don't have any money. And doesn't she like also make a reference to Rio during this bit?
Yeah, because Rio does keep bothering everyone for money.
I can rip.
And so later in the day that night, Bocchi is really happy because she's like, I sold all my tickets. I performed on the street, which is a huge accomplishment for me. And I think we're going to be okay. And I didn't fail my band. So she's like all happy. And she texts her bandmates like, I did it. I sold all 5 tickets too. And then you see a cut to all of her bandmates like looking at the text together, horrified, like, oh no, we pressured her. She's having one of her delusions. We'll be nicer to her next time.
She's totally lying.
Next episode.
So this is as far as I've seen. Everything past this I have not watched.
So next episode, we are not at the concert yet. Instead, we have a scene of Kita and Nijika, and they are taking buses, and they're kind of like in like deep in the suburbs, and they're on their way to Bocchi's house because they're going to work on designing T-shirts together for them to wear as a band. So they get to Bocchi's house. It's completely, there's like a huge banner on the outside, like completely covering the front of the house. Like, welcome Kashogu band members. Please enjoy your stay.
Like the whole house?
Yeah. And they're like, I guess we found the right place.
No, I'm not sure if this is it.
And so they like open the door and Bocchi is there and she's wearing like shiny star glasses and like has like a sash that says Sergeant for the Day and a fake mustache, and she like pulls a party popper on them and is like, welcome. And they're like, hi.
Oh my god.
So yes, this is the first time Bocchi's had friends at her house.
Oh baby.
They both Nijika and Kita like remark to each other like we're really like touched about how much Bocchi like prepared for them and how excited she was to have them be there. So they're like not weirded out by it. They're like, oh, she's actually really sweet. So they Bocchi drops them off in her room and she's like, this is my room. I'm gonna go get snacks for you. I'll come back. So they leave her. She leaves them alone in her room, but her lights are off because she has a disco light on the top of her ceiling spinning and like
wait, if they're in her Like, are they gonna see her texture map wallpaper?
Well, here's the thing is the texture map wallpaper is gone. However, there are signs all over the wall that says, yeah, party people. And they're like, okay, this is cute. And then they start looking closer and they do see like the picture, one of the pictures from the wall, like crumpled up a little bit on the ground. They see seals on the closet door from the exorcism. So like Shinto or Buddhist seals. And then her little sister starts talking like, hello there, new friends. And they're like, oh God, it's haunted.
Oh, jeez, Bocchi.
But then they're like, oh, wait, actually, little sister, you're so cute. So they like turn on the lights and they start playing with little sister. And they're like really making friends with Bocchi's sister. And her sister's like, yeah, my sister had a really creepy wall. So we had an exorcism, but everything's okay now. And they're like, okay, cool. Yay, sister.
That's weird. Okay.
There's a part then where we cut and it's all them working on t-shirt designs. But like while they're working on stuff, they just have casual talk. And one of the casual talk, which is important later, is just they're talking about like, yeah, designing t-shirts remind me of like the school sports festival. And then Bocchi spirals into like the whole like the sports festival is the worst place for someone with social anxiety. The only place worse than the sports festival is the school festival. That's the only thing worse for someone with social anxiety, right?
Mm-hmm.
But either way, they don't really get anywhere on the shirts. Then Bocchi's parents come home and her parents are so excited, like, oh, we thought our daughter was bringing like an imaginary person home, but you're actually real. How exciting.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
They're like, this is the first time for once it wasn't a real person.
Bocchi.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So basically, Nijika and Kita like make really close friends with Bocchi's family, and Bocchi does the thing like, I feel like I'm being replaced, but then like she also is like, but actually, this is a really nice feeling having people in my house who my family likes and who I like, and we're all getting along and are happy together, which is very sweet.
Yeah, friendship.
There is just some background noise, which is more subtle in the show, but pointing it out now where there's a newscaster and he's like, oh yeah, and this big tropical storm that's coming, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, that'll come up later, won't it?
That'll be a thing.
There is also, after that, a scene where they go back to design t-shirts more. You see Bocchi's design for a t-shirt, which is just like, it's all ripped up and there's a bunch of zippers and chains on it.
Oh, Final Fantasy character syndrome.
Yeah, basically. And they're like, this is edgy. What's the zipper for? And she's like, oh yeah, that's to keep our guitar picks. And the chain around it is actually a strap for a guitar. And they're like, this is actually weirdly practical.
That's fun.
But also not very possible because making a t-shirt with a bunch of zippers and chains is out of their budget.
Yeah.
Then they're like, well, that's interesting. If we weren't sure if your style was just edgy Final Fantasy, Bocchi, what kind of clothes do you normally wear? Because we only ever see you in this pink tracksuit, because that's all she wears. She's like, well, I'm too nervous to go to the store to buy my own clothes, so my mom just buys clothes for me. But they don't really suit me. And they're like, put them on. Let's see the clothes your mom buys you. So she does put on her clothes, and it's like this like cute like long sailor outfit, like very like soft girl, adorable. And Nijika and Kita are like so excited and they're like snapping pictures, and then Nijika's like, oh, it'd be so cute if I like put up your hair a little bit and made you like super moe. And so she goes to like move Bocchi's bangs off of her eyes, because Bocchi always has her bangs in her eyes, and as soon as she lifts the bangs out of her eyes, there's a glow, and then children start chanting in the background, and she goes to space, and then Bocchi crumples up into a slug and dissolves, and they start breathing Bocchi's dissolved air particles, and they all die at the end.
God, this fucking show.
It's beautiful. But in the end, it's the next day, and they're all meeting together as a band, and Ichika's like, yep, here's our t-shirts. I actually designed them. And then Bocchi like has an internal monologue, like, why did she have us get together if she was already designing the t-shirts? And she's like, Bocchi, I bet you're wondering why I got us to get together. But she's like, yeah, the reason why I did that is even though I knew we would have t-shirts, I wanted it to be like something we worked on together as a band, and we all grew together and got like more of a connection. And also, it was really fun going to your house, and you're a fun person to be with. It's just very sweet.
Oh, friendship.
So they all wear their Kishoku band shirts. They talk about their unity together, and then Kita's like scrolling through social media because she like took a picture of them to put on, like, of the shirts to put on social media, and she's like, "Uh-oh, it says a typhoon's coming the same day as a concert." And they're like, "Oh god, oh no." And then she's like, "Oh, but it says it's actually going to pass us, it's going to go south of us."
No, it won't.
But Bocchi's like, "What if we just do like the rain charms ahead of time? Just because I have anxiety, and if we don't do it, the worst thing will happen." And then, like, as opposed to like all the other girls being like, because Bocchi's internal monologue is like, they're gonna think I'm weird for doing this because my social anxiety is telling me I have to do this. But then they're all like, "Yeah, Bocchi, we'll do that with you. We'll make charms." And so you see all of them making
Aw.
charms.
Cute.
So episode 8.
Woo.
So episode 8 starts. It's the day of the concert, and guess what happened?
Typhoon!
Typhoon. Yep, it's typhooning. So Bocchi shows up at the venue. All the other girls are there. Very damp. So Nijika specifically, our blonde hair leader, is like, "Well, it'll be okay. Like, even though only a few people join, like, this is our big debut, we'll be all right." And Bocchi's like, "Oh, Nijika is still trying to be cheerful, even though everyone else is still down." And basically all of them are like, Kita's like, "Well, my friends from school who I sold the tickets to, they can't make it because the trains are stopped." And then Rio's like, "Yeah, my people couldn't make it either." And then Bocchi's like, Nijika's like, "Yeah, only my sister's able to make it today." And Bocchi's like, "Yeah, actually, because of the typhoon, my parents had to go. One had to like check in on my grandma, and then my other one had to watch my sister, so my parents couldn't come." They're all like kind of down. They're like,
Oofer doofers.
"Well, the only people who might show up are," because it's like a date where there's like a bunch of bands playing. So basically, it's a bunch of sets. Everyone has 3 songs each. And they're like, "Well, maybe we'll get some of the other fans to come in, hopefully, so it's not like an empty venue." And they're all sad. But then the door opens and Hiroi walks in, our drunk lady.
Yay!
And she's
Hello
like, "Hey,
again.
Bocchi!" And then, like, the sister, Nijika's sister's like, "Hiroi, what the fuck are you doing here?" And she's like, "Senpai!" So apparently they knew each other. I guess they were senpai and kohai in college. And then the 2 girls from the street concert come in, and they're like, "Oh, we're so glad we made it despite the rain. We were afraid to get canceled. We wouldn't miss it for the world." And Bocchi's like, "These are the people I sold tickets to. They came."
Oh.
And then afterwards, the girls are like, "Yeah, we saw your gorilla concert," and they're like, "Bocchi, we're your biggest fans now. We're your fans." And then Bocchi goes Super
Oh.
Saiyan because she has fans. like actually go Super Saiyan.
Yes, the power, limitless power.
But even still, despite those 3 people, only a handful of other people show because I guess they're the first band playing. So like even the fans of the other bands weren't enough to fill the venue. So they look out and they're like, "Well, guess it's time to go on." But like the vibes are off between all of them. Nijika,
Yeah.
as like their band, like they're basically their leader, is like trying really hard to be Genki. Like, "It'll be all right. We're gonna do so good. We just need to impress our people. Maybe we'll make a couple new fans. Like, even though there's a few people out there, they could be our fans too, right?" So they have their first song, which is the one they auditioned with. And one thing that's fun is because you already heard the song before, like 2 episodes ago, you can tell this time when they play that the vibes are off, right? Like the drum beats are not as fast, they're a little bit out of sync. Everyone sounds stiff, and Bocchi's just there thinking like, "This is not good enough for us to make new fans," right? And in the audience, like the people who are there for like later concert or like later bands are like talking to each other like, "Oh, we shouldn't have come early. This is so lame," right? And they're just scrolling through their phone, like in the back of the venue. And Bocchi's like, "No, we need to do something." And she's like thinking about how Nijika was like trying so hard to make them happy, and how Nijika like set together like this t-shirt thing for them to bond, and how like she has her dream, whatever it is, about this live house, and she's like, "I gotta do something, right?" And so then Kita starts introducing their next song after their first song kind of bombed and nobody's really paying attention except for like their two fans and the drunk lady.
Mm-hmm.
And Kita's like, well, thank you all for coming here. Let me think. What should I say? And then Bocchi, thinking about all of this, picks up her guitar and does like a sick riff.
Yeah, this clip I have actually seen before because this was going around on YouTube like wildfire when this episode came out.
And the girls at first are surprised, but then she like kind of does a lead in, and then they start. The song is called That Band, and it's really fun, the song that they picked, because the lyrics are all like, that band, I really don't vibe with their music. I don't really like them at all, right? So it feels like a little like almost like punk and just like the attitude of the lyrics, but it's still very like pop rock. But also very upbeat, and they do like they're super in sync, and like just especially the comparison between the last one, you can tell they're in sync, which is fun. So it's almost like teaching the audience like this is what a good song sounds like rather than a bad one.
Yeah. Like, oh, we love audio storytelling.
Yeah, it's so good.
Woo!
And then you also get cutscenes where like it cuts to the audience, and like the audience members who are in the back just like on their smartphones like put down their phones and like actually start listening, and they're like, oh, they're getting new fans. And they do get applause from everyone in the live house at the end, though again it wasn't a lot of people, but everyone who was there seemed to enjoy it.
Yay, go babies.
And before their last song, we do cut away, and it's the after party. So they're all like at an izakaya afterwards. Hiroi is getting super drunk, of course, but
of course
they're all the three adults. So like Hiroi, the sister, and the goth chick that is the sister's girlfriend. I'm gonna just put that there now. They're all hanging out, or they're all like talking to the kids, like, yeah, being in a band can be really hard, but like, we're really proud of you girls. You're like really advancing in your career. But like they're also like getting super drunk with each other and goofing off. You do find out that Nijiga's sister used to be in a band, but she quit at some point. But she's like being a little like shady on why she quit. She's like, yeah, it wasn't for me, whatever, right? And she's like, Bocchi, meanwhile, is looking at all of her like older friends getting super drunk, and she's like, I wonder what it'll be like when I'm an adult and I can drink in my after parties. It must be really fun. And then we get a cut where she's like overhears two salarymen in the izakaya being like, yeah, my wife's been coming home late and her phone's gone locked even though it wasn't locked before, and she just doesn't love me the way she used to. And like his friends like, pick it up, man, you just one day at a time, just don't give up. And the Bocchi's like, maybe it won't be fun to be an adult, actually. Then, while all this talk is going on, especially with Nichiga's sister talking about, like, yeah, I used to be in a band, but I gave it up, whatever. I run the live house, I like it now. Bocchi looks around and she's like, huh, Nijiga, she said she went to the bathroom a while ago, but she hasn't come back. She's like, I'm gonna go check on my friend. So the next scene, she goes outside and Nijika's out there and she's like, oh, hey, Bocchi, I just wanted some fresh air. And Bocchi's like, what do I say? I don't know what to say in this situation. And they just like make light small talk, but Bocchi's a little bit like, should I ask her why she's outside? Is she okay? And then like out of nowhere, Nijika looks at Bocchi and she's like, you're Guitar Hero, right?
Oh.
And Bocchi like panics. She's like, like her brain starts trying to make up excuses. But then Nijika's like, yeah, I heard from your playing, and also I noticed you have the same guitar. And Bocchi's like, oh, well, can't cover that part, can I?
Nope.
And Bocchi's like, yeah, I am Guitar Hero. I wasn't like I was trying to keep it secret. It's just like with my name being Guitar Hero and also all the things I lied about on my YouTube, I just like don't really feel like a hero. Like I can't be Guitar Hero because I'm not really anyone's hero at all.
Oh.
And then Nijika's like, well, here's the thing, Bocchi. Let me talk to you.
Hero.
Let me talk to you about my dream. So I told you I had a dream and I wasn't going to say it yet, but I feel like it's time. I do want to be rich and famous, of course. But what happened is when I was little, my mom died when I was young, and my dad was always at work, so it was just me and my sister. And my sister was in a band. I know you heard that part. And I used to like go to her concerts all the time because she would be babysitting me when my dad couldn't. So like I grew up in live houses.
Mhm.
And my sister could tell that I really love the atmosphere and I love music and I love live houses. And so my sister quit her band to start this live house to give me a place. And my dream is, yes, to get rich and famous, but I want to be rich and famous to pay my sister back from all the sacrifices she made for me.
Oh.
And she's like, well, at first it seemed like a dream that was really far away. And when we first got together as a band, it was hard, like with the guitarist leaving. But then you joined. And since then, every time there's been a challenge, you've been the one to like make it okay. Like when we had to go on stage and I first got you and you had the mango box, you made it okay. Or when we had to bring Kita, you said the right thing to convince her not to run away again. And even earlier today, when all of us were like in this really hard place and we couldn't talk and we couldn't play right, you did exactly what we all needed. And you are a hero, Bocchi. You're our hero. You're my hero, right? You are a guitar
Oh.
hero.
Yay!
And she says that they also like Bocchi shares her dreams about how like yeah, she wants to make Kashoku band the best band possible, and also she doesn't want to have a real job after school. And Nijika's like, yeah, I think both of us achieving our dreams is possible, and I think that you'll be able to show the world how good you are at showing your rock, like Bocchi's rock. She's like, and you know, like your special rock. And then she says, Bocchi, you're Bocchi the Rock. And you're like, name drop.
That's the title of the show. Beep, 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 beep.
And then she runs inside, and there's like a very cute visual metaphor where as she says Bocchi the Rock, and then she's like, okay, I'll meet you back inside. And Nijika opens the door, and Bocchi, like up this time, like her face was like half in light and half in shadow. And then like, as she opens the door, her face becomes fully in light, and you're like visual storytelling metaphors.
Baby, let's go.
Yeah. So, and that was the end of the episode where Boji's like, I am someone's hero. And oh, my heart. So that was episode 8, just so you know. And nothing against the rest of Bocchi the Rock. This is like the peak of the show. It is beautiful, incredible, top tier episode.
Yes.
So they had their first concert. Episode 9. So we're going to continue on. We did just have a very hard emotional episode, so there was a little bit of a contrast where I'm like, okay, we're back to just like gags, which is cool, but that was a big emotional episode, but it's still enjoyable. So Bocchi's sitting around. Spring break is halfway through because I guess this concert happened during spring break. And she's like, spring break, highlight of my life. We're gonna do great. We're gonna do so many things with my friends. And she's just kind of laying there and she's waiting and no one's contacting her. And so then you just see her like watching the funny movies or like making her YouTube videos or just rolling around on the ground being like, I hope someone reaches out to me because I'm too anxious to reach out to anybody else.
No.
So she meets up, or like then it's like practice day, right? Because they're still regularly practicing, even though they just had their concert. And basically Kita, Rio, and Nijika are like, Bocchi's acting weird, right? And they're like, I wonder what's going on. And then the sister venue owner is like, someone deal with Bocchi. She's really acting weird. And they're like, but we don't know why. And sister's like, well, she's muttering to herself about trying to ask somebody like for doing fun things for spring break. Did you guys ask her to do things? And they're like, well, we thought she just didn't want to. So they're like, hey, Bocchi, we only have 1 day left of spring break, but let's go make some memories.
No.
So they take the train and they go to Enoshima, so like close to the beach. They see the ocean and like Bocchi's like, this is the first time I've been to the ocean with my friends. right?
No.
She's like hanging out with her friends. She has like senbei, and then she's like, "This is the highlight of my life." And then she's like, "I have peaked. This is the end." And then like you see like you know how at the end of like an anime there'll be like a cute illustrated title card. So a title card comes up, and then the credits roll, and she's like, "I did it. I'm done." But they're like, "No, Bocchi, there's more we could do. Don't worry about it." So like they go and do more like tourism things in Enoshima. Again, this is probably largely to promote the places they go in the show.
For the eventual Bocchi pilgrimage tour.
Yes. There's definitely some gags where like they like go to climb up like this lookout and like all of them but Kia are like wheezing a few steps in, and then you like see the old lady like walking up sprightly up the hill, and you're like, "Yep, can relate. Have had that experience."
I remember so actually the shrine from Love Live Sunshine,
Mhm.
we went up there, like me and a couple of friends, and like it looks so easy in the show, but the stairs are at like a 30-degree
Ugh.
angle upward. And so not only are you climbing stairs, you're climbing up a hill and stairs at the same time. That shit is so
Ugh.
hard. So like I never take like stair climbing in anime. It's like they always make it look so easy, but no. Some of those stairs are fucking nightmarish.
And it really is, especially if you like in the Japanese stairs, there's always a one old person who's just like, "Yep, this is my normal day walk."
Yup. Yup. They're just like, I don't give a fuck.
You youngins need to get more in shape.
Yeah, no, for real though.
They do also go to like a shrine and they pray to the goddess of music, and basically all of them are like, "Let's make our band great," and also Bocchi's like, "And also make me rich enough so I don't have to ever have a real job."
Yup.
On the way home on the train, Bocchi's like hanging out, and she's like the only one awake. Or she and Kita are the only one awake, right? So Nijika and Rio have fallen asleep from the exhausting hike they had, and Bocchi's like, "Well, this was my first time out with friends, and it actually made me really happy, and it's really cool to hang out with you." And Kita's like, "Yeah, it was really great hanging out with you too. Like I'm social, I have a lot of friends, but like Bocchi, you and the band, like you guys are all like my favorite people. This is like the best thing ever, right?" And
Mhm.
Bocchi's like, "Well, I feel like I'll be able to go back to school and actually be okay. Like this was really good, and I'm really glad I have my friends, right?"
Mhm.
And so the next day is the first day of school, and Bocchi's like, "I'm excited. I'm going to go to school with my head held high. I actually did fun, useful things during my spring break." And she can't get out of bed because her muscles are too sore. And her parents are
Oops.
like, "Oh, Bocchi, don't be so anxious." And Bocchi's like, "I physically can't move."
Yup. Oh man, an unrelated tangent, but I remember something similar happened to me when my
Oh
brother and I
no.
climbed Mount Fuji. So when you do that climb, it's like you spend the first day going up and then the second day going down. And you know, we were tired after the first day, but going down was like it was easier, but it was harder on the muscles. And so it's
Mhm.
like you don't have to think, you just kind of like it's like you would the whole way down is like on gravel. And
Mhm.
so you step and then you slide an extra foot and then you step and then you slide an
Oh,
extra
so you're
foot and
clenching.
yeah, and so like you're clenching like the whole way down. And I did fall and bust my ass a handful of times. But like all that for like 4 hours,
Ugh.
we got back to our hotel, I physically couldn't sit.
Oh
Like
no.
I went to go
Sorry.
like we got back to our hotel, we took our shoes off. I went to go to the bathroom and it took me like 5 minutes to get on the toilet because I physically could not descend. I was
Oh
like I
no.
just like stood there with my pants down and I'm like, "Ugh!"
Oh no.
So imagine that that's what Bochi's feeling right now.
Probably,
I've been there.
especially considering that like lives her life in her closet. She
She's
doesn't
such a
really
homebody. Yeah,
exercise. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. I'm in a similar position. I'm an artist. I sit at home most days, and then sometimes you work out really hard, and then you can't move.
Oh no.
I remember. No, no. The best part was the next day. So we had like slept it off, but we woke up in the morning. It was our last day in Japan, and we were still sore. And so like we could have stayed in the hotel, but we were like, no, it's our last day. We have to go do something. And so we decided to go do something, but on our way to the station, we had to go downstairs.
Oh
And we were like,
no.
no.
The biggest curse.
the biggest curse. We were just like, we were just like hobbling down the stairs like a couple of invalids.
And then the old person goes by you like, these kids
and then the
these
old
days.
people, not even the old people, like everyone was just going past us and looking at like these dumb white people who were just failing miserably to go downstairs. And we're just like, oh God, physical activity, it burns.
Back to Bocchi, episode 10.
Star tangent over. Sorry, I just.
No, it's an important tangent.
I have to contribute because I didn't watch the second half of the show. I have to contribute with contribute with my pain of one time my legs hurt so bad I couldn't shit.
Tragic, honestly.
A true Sisyphean tragedy, really.
So episode 10, it starts out with Bocchi having a fantasy of her being at like watching a concert like live, and then the staff is like, uh-oh, the band fell sick, we need a replacement, and Bocchi being like, I know guitar, and then she goes on stage, she rocks down, she makes 1 billion fans, and that's her daydream. But then she wakes up to horrible reality.
Who hasn't had that daydream, honestly?
Honestly, yeah. But she wakes up to the horrible reality, which is it is time for the school festival, and her class is doing a maid cafe.
Oh no!
No. But also, in addition to that, the committee members are like, and also, the school is looking for performers for the live stage on day 2 of the festival. So if anyone's interested in signing up, please do, because they need people. And then Bocchi overhears 2 of her classmates being like, wow, it'd be so cool if someone from our class was in a band or something. I could sign up. That'd be so cool. I'd be their biggest fan. And then so Bocchi has like the balance between her ultra high ego and also her social anxiety being like, should I sign up or not?
Mm-hmm.
But she blacks out and comes to herself when she's about to put a form in the box, like signing up for it, and she's like, what am I doing? What happened with the last half hour of my life? So she freaks out a lot. Someone catches her like freaking out, and then she collapses and she wakes up in the infirmary. And who's next to her in the infirmary but Kita? And Bocchi's like, oh God, Kita's here. I can't tell her that I was about to sign up, or otherwise she'll like be like, hell yeah, let's do it, and she won't let me say no, and she won't give me time to waffle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they just kind of like have like some small talk, and like, but she's like, oh yeah, I just fell, and then it's just a little bit about like, what's your class doing for the school festival? Bocchi's like, I'm having a maid cafe, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, she like sneakily slips like the sign up paper into the garbage, and she's like, okay, not gonna sign up, won't do that, right? So later it's practice time, and she's at Starry, and she's talking to Nijika and Rio, and Nijika and Rio are like, oh, you have the cultural festival? Oh, it'd be so cool to play at your cultural festival. We played at our middle school one, but like not really as a band and not really like together. Like it'd be really cool to do it. So if you change your mind and you want to sign up, it'd be really fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Bocchi's like, well, but even if we do play, our music isn't like happy and carefree. We'll get like excommunicated from the school because of our sad lyrics. And they're like, that's not what happens, actually. So the next day, Bocchi's at school, and she's like, yeah, I just decided I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to turn the flyer. She's walking down the hall when Kita comes up, and she's like, Bocchi, don't worry about it. That flyer, I saw it fell into the trash can somehow. Don't worry, I submitted it. We're going into the school festival.
Oh God.
So then Bocchi collapses again, as you do.
Mm-hmm.
Later at practice, Kita is just like head in hands, like, I'm a criminal. I caused a murder, actually. And Bocchi's like, can't do it. When who walks in is Hiroi, our drunk, magenta-haired band friend. And Bocchi's like still on the ground, and Hiroi's like, why is Bocchi down there? And Bocchi's like, because I have to perform at the school festival and I'm gonna die, basically, right? Boy. And Hiroi's like, well, it'll be okay. Also, the reason why I came here is my band is having a concert tonight, and I have these tickets, and I wanted you girls to come and watch me, so please come, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's like a little gag where like the girls are like, oh, do we owe you any money for these tickets? And Hiro is like, no, I'm an adult. You don't need to pay me money at all. But Bocchi's like, but didn't I lend you money? And then Nichiga's sister's like, are you stealing money from children, actually? So both Hiroi and Rio are made to supplicate themselves and pay money back to Bocchi because Rio also steals their money and freeloads off of them. Just basis things.
Just basis things.
So the girls go to the venue of Hiroi's band that evening because it's playing. Her band, I think, is in Shinjuku, so it's not in Shimokitazawa. So it's a new venue, new area. Just so happens that her band, its name is Sick Hat. Rio apparently is a fan of them and has been a fan of them for a while. So she was actually pretty like psyched about Hiroi like watching their concert before. So the venue itself, they walk in and there's like all these people they don't recognize and they're all like adults and they're like, I'm terrified. This is not Starry. But the venue manager, despite being older, like is like, oh, hey, cute girls, and like is super friendly to them. And they're like, okay, it's all right after all. So the crowd starts coming in. Rio shares a little bit more about the band Sick Hack. So they're a psychedelic rock band, which is fun. She describes psychedelic rock a little bit and the history of it, so you get to have a little education. And then it's band time. So it's fun when Sick Hack plays because this is when one of the times we get really weird and experimental visually. So like Bocchi's there and she's listening, but there's just like these like weird color like I don't know, like motion graphics-y vibes behind, and it's very much, again, it's psychedelic rock, so it's a lot of like weird vibey music. Hiroi, who is the bassist, is also the lead singer. She's very good. Bocchi's like completely entranced by her, and she's like, I am enveloped by this sound and I love it and I'm carried away, and she like goes to this other place, right? So afterwards they talk backstage and Bocchi's like, or basically Hiroi's like, so what'd you think, Bocchi? Was it good? And Bocchi's like, I don't even know what to say. Like, it was beyond anything I could have imagined. And but she's like looking a little sad, and Hiroi's like, you're just saying that and you actually didn't like it, that's why your face is that. And then Bocchi's like, no, here's the thing, I actually did like it. The only problem is it made me realize how I will never achieve that because I'm too anxious to ever like be that carefree on stage like you are.
Oh, baby.
And then Hiroi's like, hey, Bocchi, let me tell you a secret. And she's like, in high school, I was like you. I was anxious. I was a loner. I had no friends. I played bass so I could make friends, and I never did until I was in college. And Bocchi's like, how did you know that I'm a loner? I didn't tell anyone, did I? And Hiroi's like, I know him when I see him because I was one.
Oh.
But then she says like everything kind of changed when she started bass. She started drinking. It also helped her self-medicating. Hey kids, don't turn to alcohol. Talk to a doctor instead if you're feeling like this, by the way. PSA. Don't self-medicate.
Yeah.
There's medicine and therapy for that.
Because, like, I remember I've only known this girl for one episode because I stopped watching after episode 6 and I haven't caught up yet, but I just got the horrifying impression this girl has a problem.
Yeah, it's very clearly stated that she has her own problems and she's self-medicating. So listeners at home, there are ways that are not self-medicating to do this. Talk to a doctor if you are feeling sad, alone, anxious.
There are ways to help that are not destroying your liver.
Yes, exactly. But Hiroi's like, well, the only reason why I could get on stage is time, the bass, and alcohol. And hey, you're on stage and you don't have alcohol and you're doing good. So I know you'll be okay, Bocchi. You got this. You're going to be even better than me one day.
Jeez.
And then Bocchi's like, okay. And she's like, and I guess I'll do my best. And also, would you like to come watch my school festival? We're going to perform there. So like kind of coming to terms of it. Later, all the girls go back and they like start actually getting excited about the school festival, Bocchi included. They start thinking about like if they should play covers because like the other like kids at the school will like actually sing along and know them. But then Bocchi's like, no, I want to play all our original music, actually. I want to, like, be us 100%. And all the others are like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Um, so later, Kita takes Bocchi aside and is like, hey, Bocchi, so I have a confession to make. I knew you threw that flyer away on purpose, and I submitted it anyway, and I just really wanted to be in the school festival, so I was playing ignorant, but I actually am a really shitty person. I'm sorry.
Aww.
And then Bocchi's like, nah, it's okay. I was just afraid, and I think you realized that, like, I did want to join. I'm just nervous. And then Kita's like, yeah, I just wanted to show everyone how cool you are because I'm your biggest fan. And then in Sarah's imagination, they kiss, but who knows what happened for real.
Beep boop, beep boop, Sarah vision. Kiss, 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 kiss.
Look.
Now I'm looking, and I'm seeing the predictable results of my co-host being who she is.
Look, here's the thing. As mentioned, I ship all of them together. Every it's love square.
Love square.
So basically Kita still like continues her self monologue from there, like thinking about like how cool Bocchi is and how much like she inspires her and how much she loves her. And also like she wants Bocchi to grow, so it's just very sweet. All right, episode 11. So 2 more episodes left. It is the first day of the school festival, so it's a 2-day festival. So this is not the day they're performing, but it is the day of the maid cafe.
Maid cafe Bocchi.
So Rio and Ichika go to the school and they're like, man, we can't wait to see Bocchi in her maid outfit. It's gonna be so cute. I already have my camera ready. They go to the maid cafe room and they don't see Bocchi. They do see Kita anxious because Bocchi is missing.
Uh-oh.
So basically she ran off when she put on her maid outfit because she couldn't bear the sight of bear the thought of anyone looking at her in a maid outfit. Fair. So basically they track her down, because Kita is now an expert on Bocchi and like David Attenborough is the shit out of it. She is like hiding on a stump or like on a stoop outside the school, like in the like where it's all dreary and like dark. And they're like, Bocchi would hide in a dreary, dark place where there's not a lot of foot traffic, right? Mm-hmm. Outside on her stoop, Bocchi meanwhile is like, I'm afraid of the real world. Help me, online world. You're the only place I feel safe, right? And so she like opens up her YouTube and starts scrolling through her comments. And at first she's like reading the comments like, oh, you're so great, Guitar Hero. Oh, I wish I could play as good as you, Guitar Hero. And then sees comments like, Guitar Hero never posts anymore. Should I just unsubscribe? Guitar Hero. Right? And then she like shrivels up like, even my online world isn't safe.
Oh no, baby. Don't rely on social media for your happiness. It's a recipe for disaster.
Do not. But it does go back into the whole modern, the Zoomers probably, especially who would relate.
The Zoomers!
But her friends do find her because David Attenborough this shit. And they're like, hey, Bocchi, wow, you look so cute in your maid outfit. Let's go walk around the school festival. And she's like, okay. Right? So there is a whole bunch of just gags of them going to different booths in their school festival, as you would expect and would need in an episode like this. In the end, they do end up back at the maid cafe. And there's like a gag that I think was also going around online where Bocchi goes and serves them omelet rice, right? And they're like, hey, Bocchi, it says here that in addition to the omelet rice, you can do a magic spell to make it taste good, right? And she's like, she tries to, like, use Kaon, Mio, right? She does like the Moi Moi Kun, but she's like, Moi Moi Kun, and like, just like dark, like aura comes out of her mouth and ends up on like the omelet, and like Ichika and Rio eat it, and they're like, pretty mediocre tasting, okay. And then Kita's like, oh, no, Bocchi, that's not how you do it. You have to do your magic spell, like, super happy and magical like this. And then she has, like, a magical girl transformation sequence where she goes, like, moi, moi, kyun. And, like, the omelet, like, gets covered in a heart. And then there's, like, a scene of Nijika and Rio just eating the same omelet, like, oh, my God, this is the best thing ever. This tastes delicious, right? So after that, Bocchi's classmates rope Kita into like becoming a maid herself instead of Bocchi. So Kita ends up in the maid outfit, and like everyone's excited about Kita. And then Bocchi starts inner monologuing about like, this is how it's going to be tomorrow at the concert, right? Like everyone's going to just be disappointed in Bocchi, and she's going to be the only one who goes on stage and no one cheers for her. Like people cheer for Kita and they'll cheer for the other two, and they're going to see me and they're just going to be disgusted, right? So she gets all
Aw.
sad. But at the same time, like everyone, the other thing though is like Bocchi's like lonely and an introvert and has social anxiety, but like the people in her class don't dislike her. They're always like, "Oh,
Mhm.
hey, Bocchi," but they like are just thinking that Bocchi wants, they thinking Bocchi's an introvert and she wants to be alone, where she just has anxiety, right? So they're still pretty friendly with her. Um, so they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go to the concert tomorrow. We'll cheer you on," like after inviting her, right? So later that day, maid outfit is over and they go to practice at Starry, their last practice before the concert tomorrow. And they have like a little remark like, "Bocchi, your guitar is pretty old, huh? Do you think you're ever gonna get a new one?" And she's like, "Yeah, my dad lent it to me, but I don't know, I kind of like it. It'll be okay." There's also a bit where they're practicing and Bocchi is listening to Kita play, and she's like, "There's something different about Kita playing. Like, she's gotten really good recently. Like, shout out to Kita."
Mhm.
And then it is concert time. So it's the next day, and it's the day of the concert. And Bocchi just continues imagining like everyone loving everyone but Bocchi, and then Bocchi getting booed off stage, and her band kicking her out, and her being alone and destitute for the rest of her life, right? But they go on stage, and as expected, they do cheer for Kita, but they also cheer for Bocchi when she goes on too.
Yay!
And she looks out in the audience, and as opposed to like a bunch of strangers or like people who are booing her, she sees her family. So her mom and dad and sister are there. The two fans that she had before from the live house are there. Her classmates who like were like, "Yeah, we'll go to your concert tomorrow, Bocchi," are there. And then also like Nichiga's sisters there and Hiroi are there because they were invited. And Hiroi is already super drunk on stage. She has like bottles, like glass bottles of sake, like on the stage because
Oh,
she's like
God.
leaning over it, and she's like, "Yeah, Bocchi."
Oh my God, girl, get some help.
Episode 12. So this is our last episode. So it kind of cuts off there with them going on stage. So we immediately go into their first song, same sort of thing where it's like gloomy lyrics, but it's still like a really happy, upbeat song. But while they're playing, Bocchi keeps looking down at her guitar, and just visually you're like, oh, she's noticing that something's off, but we as an audience don't know what's off yet, right? And then it's the next song, so Kita like ad-libs in the middle, and I guess their plan for the next song is somewhere in the middle, Bocchi's gonna have a solo, because they all wanted to show off how good Bocchi's guitar playing is, right? And so they start their song. It's called Become a Constellation, also very good jam. But partway through the song, when we're coming up on Bocchi's solo in the middle, her peg breaks on her guitar and her string falls off.
No!
And Kita sees this happen, and then on the fly, like starts ad-libbing covering for Bocchi during the solo, right? Because she's like really getting how to play with everybody else, and also she's getting good at guitar, so Kita's own personal
Yay!
growth.
Go, baby!
Yeah.
Play
And
that
then
guitar.
Bocchi is looking around like, Kita's covering for me, but I should help her out because I really want to show off how good I am, basically. And she looks down at Hiroi and she sees the glass bottles of sake. She's like, okay, that's an idea. And so she picks up the sake, and instead of fingering the chords, she takes her sake glass and she like slide chords it so she doesn't have to be as accurate about like the tuning. And she like does like a cool like slide chord solo, and it's incredible.
あのギター何やってんだ。
よくわかんねえけどすげえ。
この土壇場でボトルネック奏法とか普通やるか。あれならチューニングずれてても関係ないもんね。遥か彼方僕らは出会ってしまった。
Oh, that's so cool.
Beautiful. This is also a great scene to watch, and is better with music behind it. And so afterwards, audience goes wild. They're like, oh my god, the girl on the guitar just did like this crazy thing when her string broke. She's amazing. And then Kita, again, she like goes into like talk in the middle because she's like the one doing the emceeing. She's like, oh my god, Bocchi, that was incredible. You got to say something about your solo. And she like hands Bocchi the microphone. And Bocchi's like,
it'll be good.
what do I say? I gotta say something funny. I gotta say something good. I'm a rocker now. I'm so cool. What do I say? What do I say? What do I say? And then she has a thought in her mind. And she imagines someone stage diving.
Oh, no!
And so she jumps off the auditorium stage.
Bocchi?
And then there's a, you know, like when it pans to like the outside and there's like a thump.
Oh, no.
And so she wakes up in the infirmary yet again. Without doing their last song of the set. And
no,
Bocchi looks to her side and Kita's there, like a few episodes ago, and she's like, oh my god, Kita, I'm sorry for ruining it. You didn't get to play the last song. And Kita's like, no, it's okay. That just means people are not gonna forget her performance. We're the talk of the school right now, actually.
Yeah, because everyone thinks that Bocchi's dead. It's like, oh my god, she played guitar so well, may she rest in peace.
Rip. Also, Bocchi's like, and Kita, I noticed you covered me, and you've gotten, like, really good really fast. I'm so impressed. And Kita's like, yeah, I'm doing better, but really the only reason why I'm doing good is because I want to make sure that I can support you and our fellow bandmates when we play guitar, because you're what's most important to me, which is very sweet. Also, these girls gay. Kita, here's the thing. Kita always calls Bocchi Hitori. She never calls her Bocchi, so she calls her by her real first name. I'm like, love it for it, right? But basically Kita's like, yeah, and I'm going to keep practicing because I want to be able to support you through all this. I want to show off how cool you are at guitar. Like, what the fuck? You just did the most amazing thing. So school's over, or the school festival's over. There's like a little scene where Bocchi's like leaving the infirmary and like some of her classmates are like, oh, hey, it's that crazy rocker chick. And Bocchi's like, well, I guess I'm not being ignored anymore. But also, oh god, oh no.
Oh god, the mortifying ordeal of being known.
As the crazy rocker chick nonetheless.
That stage dived.
And so then we have a cut, and it is later, and Bocchi is at her parents' house, and she is like bowing, like deep bowing in front of her dad, like, Dad, I'm so sorry I broke your guitar. I'm so sorry. And Bocchi's dad and her mom and her sister, like her sister's climbing all over her dad. It's pretty cute. But her dad's like, it's just a peg. We can get a peg fixed if you want. But then he's like, but Hori, right? Because it's her real name. He's like, but daughter, maybe this is a good opportunity for you to use your own money and buy a new guitar. And then Bocchi's like, I barely have enough money to pay the venue fees. With what money, Dad?
Aw.
And then Dad's like, well, your YouTube account. And Bocchi's like, uh-oh, my parents know about my YouTube account. And he's like, you signed up with the family email, and your mom and sister and I have been secretly watching your videos, and, well, sometime last year I monetized them. And he, like, hands her $2,000, and he's like, go buy your guitar with your own money.
Dang, we love a supportive family.
Which is just very cute.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, and it's also like they're very much like, we didn't want to tell you because we didn't want to make you anxious about it, but like, you have a lot of fans and we're some of them.
Oh, cute.
And then we see Bocchi, and she like is laying all her money out in her room, and she's like, okay, with $2,000, I can spend $1,000 on a guitar, and I can spend the other $1,000 just paying my venue fees so I never have to work again.
Bocchi, no, you gotta go hard. You gotta get a really good guitar, girl.
But she does go to the venue and goes up to the manager and is like ready to quit. And manager's like, what do you want from me? And Bocchi's like, I just want to tell you how much I'm going to try hard at my job. Because she's nervous. And then we have a scene of all the girls going music shopping, which again feels very K-On! Like, this whole scene is definitely an homage to the K-On! Music shopping bit. but instead of Bocchi not being able to afford the guitar, like in K-On!, which we'll talk about one day, maybe.
Eventually. Our
eventually.
hypothetical Schrodinger's K-On! Episode. Maybe we'll do it eventually.
Instead of Bocchi being unable to afford the guitar, she is a guitarist. She's well aware of how much guitars cost. She has the money, but she's too anxious to buy a guitar. But everyone can tell which guitar she wants. And Kita kind of ventriloquist puppets her and is like, yeah, she'll take this one. And so she does get her new guitar. It's black and shiny and very sleek looking. There's also a scene while they're at the music store where Rio's like, oh yeah, I'm just looking around. And someone's like, oh, is that a bass? Are you interested in learning bass? And she's like, yeah, maybe, whatever. And she like pulls it off the wall and like goes crazy on it. And it's like, yeah, she's just doing the thing where she goes to the music store just to show off how good she is, which is the thing people do.
Yeah.
But Bocchi does get her new guitar, and like there's a bit where they're like, oh, Bocchi, do you want to like go and get crepes after and stuff? But like they're like, wait, nah, we know you, Bocchi. We know you just want to go home and play on your new guitar as soon as possible. And then Bocchi's like really touched that her friends knew what she was thinking without her having to be anxious and deny them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so cute though. Like the friend dynamic is so good. It's like
it's so good.
She has this anxiety, but it doesn't hinder her friendships. That's so good.
Yeah, and actually, there's a scene like I didn't mention like even a few episodes ago where like they do talk about like how Bocchi doesn't have friends at school, and then Rio's like, I wonder why she doesn't have friends at school. She's really fun to hang out with, and you're like, you could tell that they just genuinely enjoy her company.
No.
And so at the end, and also I just want to mention because I haven't read the 4 Coma, but I'm guessing it might come up later, where the salesperson at the music store is like, that's my favorite guitar here. I helped restore it, and it makes me happy it's going to a good place. I hope you'll come back and play it sometime. So that's like a plot lead for the future, but we're episode 12 now.
Yeah.
So back at home, Bocchi is in her room. She puts on her guitar and she just kind of like poses in front of the mirror being like, look how cool I am. I'm so cool. I'm the best guitarist ever. Right? But like also like goes and turns around and is like, I'm sorry, old guitar. I still love you too. I'm sorry. Right? And then at the end, she puts on her shoes. She packs up her guitar and she walks out of her house to go to work, and then the ending starts playing, and then there's just scenes of like all of the places you've been over the show while the ending plays, and then it plays, and then at the very end she's like looks up and she's under this bridge and she's like, well, time for another day at work, and then it's the end. So it's just very like things continue, and the things that made her anxious before are part of the everyday, and is very sweet.
Oh, character growth. We love to see it.
And also the visual metaphor of her being under the bridge and like guitar bridges, and also like the next episode next season, maybe, hopefully. God please, Bocchi too.
Hopefully. I was gonna ask if like there were any signs that we might get a second season.
Not yet, but I don't know for sure if it's even on Blu-ray yet, and usually animes get second seasons or not based off of how well Blu-rays sell in Japan. So
true.
We will see.
I just know that, like, of everything that was airing last season, this was the one that I was hearing about the most.
People talked about it a lot, and the other thing, it would just be so poetic if it had 2 seasons of a movie like K-On! That would be ideal. I want K-On!, but Bocchi.
Bocchi, K-On! For Zoomers.
Hell yeah, K-On! For Zoomers.
We have to give the new generation their own K-On! That will live in the hearts of the weebs forever.
Yeah, and I know I will probably go back and at least rewatch some of my favorite scenes. And again, overall, it is a comedy. I talked a lot about the main plot stuff, but there's like a whole lot of gags in it.
Mm-hmm. The one gag that I remember seeing, but I didn't hear you talk about, was, I don't know what the context was, but it's like 3D model of Bocchi gets yeeted into a stack of blocks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people were asking if it was an Undertale reference.
Maybe.
Because, like, they had the directional arrows of Maya just in the shot. You can see them.
She's T-posed.
She's T-posed. And they just eat her in a stack of blocks. And I'm like, oh, Bocchi.
At least, like Star said, go look up and find a Bocchi breakdowns.
Bocchi breakdown compilation.
Yeah, it's so good.
Like, Watch the damn show, because it is good. I am going to go
Yes.
finish it at one point, like when I have time to watch anime. I was hoping that this would get a dub so that I could just, have it in the background, but it has
might.
not been dubbed yet.
Yes.
So I'll probably watch it if and when a dub comes out, but if one doesn't come out within like the next month or so, I'll probably just
Hell
sit down
yeah.
and watch it. I've just been too busy to watch an anime recently. I've been trying to
It's fair. But it's fun because it's also like, it's a gag show. It's based off of a 4-coma, but it has a lot of heart, which is like the other reason why it's like K-On! For the modern generation. It's like you feel something. It makes you feel something.
Exactly. And I mean, like, it was one of the reasons why I didn't feel like, I mean, I felt bad. I felt very bad that I wasn't able to finish the show, but I didn't feel too bad because I'm like, this has Sarah written all over it.
Oh, it's so good. It was made for me.
It was made for me. This is
made
my
for
home.
me.
This is my pink-haired anime show. I descend into it.
See, my
It's
favorite,
me-shaped.
as we have learned, my favorite things are character focus, and also, I feel like most things that are based off of 4-comas I end up enjoying because I love slice of life. So here we are.
Yeah, you've watched several of them for the podcast so far.
Yeah. So slice of life and character. Those are my two big things. We got it. Also, me being able to ship things. That's my third thing. And oh my god, the shipping potential in the show.
Oh,
So
here she
beautiful.
comes. She's coming out. It's shipping
Coming out
Sarah.
of my cage and
God.
I'm doing just fine.
That's fine. Gotta get down because I ship these girls.
It's so good. It's so good. And see, the thing is, I don't even have just one ship. It's beautiful. Lovely. Love it. Love to see it.
Love square. Sarah's love square. The love perpendicular square.
So, as far as best girl star, I know you only saw a few episodes, but who's your best girl?
Manager.
Yeah, love her. Powerful.
She's
so good.
Like, I know we keep saying this and not doing it, but I would honestly be down with like a group of the adults.
Love
to, like,
it. Let's do it.
cosplay.
So, my best girl, probably Nijika, actually. I love her, the leader.
Yeah.
She's just like, yes, can relate to you, like you, friend.
Yeah. I'm like okay, so like for real answer though, it's like, yes, manager girl, I love her. She is very much my type. But as far as like the main girls, I am somewhere between like relatability scale. I'm like somewhere between Bocchi and Rio, so probably
Feel that.
those two are my favorites.
That's fair. I mean, it's hard not to love Bocchi too, is the other thing, because she's
That's
just
the other thing, yeah.
I also she also make her so human, where like it's not just that she's introvert and has social anxiety, but she's also like full of herself a little bit and feels like a high schooler, and you love
Exactly. She's an attention whore with anxiety, and we love her for it.
it. It's so good.
She's a very easy character to root for, I think.
Yeah, exactly. She's a wonderful main character.
Mm-hmm.
So Star.
Yes.
This is our episode 69. But
Yes.
after this, do we want to talk about podcast things?
Yes. So, listeners, we are going to do a more in-depth deep dive coming eventually, but there's gonna be, this is our like kind of official announcement. The podcast is gonna be changing up a little bit. Sarah and I kind of sat down and we talked about it a little bit. It's that we've been doing this podcast for, about 3 years, doing it kind of the same way. And we've got some ideas for like ways we want to tweak some things about our format and like how exactly we go about engaging with our other listeners and like how we want to do the show moving forward.
Hopefully do some longer form anime than just the 12 episode ones.
No, because like we're considering like some structural changes to the way the show works. It's not going to be anything too intense. We're gonna have like a more official announcement coming out about it because we're gonna be making some tweaks to our schedule as well. Just because, like, we've talked about it in the past, but keeping up with this podcast has gotten to the point where it's almost a little bit unsustainable for the two of us because we are both very busy adults. And, like, watching and taking notes on a full season of anime every 2 weeks has gotten to be a little bit much for us. We're not stopping the show.
No.
That is what
You'll
you're
still
afraid
have
of.
us. Do not
We
fear.
are absolutely not stopping. We're just probably going to put out episodes a little bit less frequently. And we're going to be changing up the format slightly.
We're going to try to make it a little bit more fun.
Yes. It'll be a change for the better is what we hope.
Heck yeah.
So we're going to have like a mini episode come out at some point that'll like go, once we've ironed out exactly what we want to do, we'll have like a feed drop kind of episode just kind of talking about the future of the show and the stuff that we're going to be doing, da-di-da-di-da. But just keep in mind that some stuff will be a changin' coming soon.
And if you are afraid of change, you can just pull a Banana Review Starlight and restart time over and over. It'll be okay.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, too. I mean, you can do that. All of our episodes are, like, we have 69 fucking episodes of this podcast you can go back and listen to over and over again.
Heck yeah.
And I mean, hey, go subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're going to be listening to the episodes over and over again, you might as well do it on our YouTube channel so that maybe eventually we can monetize that channel and start making like a little bit of money from this podcast to help support, I don't know, maybe eventually hiring an audio editor so we don't have to spend like 5 hours per episode editing.
Or get a
that
guitar.
That would be great. Or no. I'm vetoing that one. You're not going to use our non-existent podcast money to buy a guitar.
Plunk, 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 plunk.
No. But yeah, go subscribe to our YouTube, Idle Days Pod on YouTube, and also our other socials to keep an eye out for shit that's going to be happening soon.
And also, you can also check our website. It's idolluminati.com or .net or idledays.card.co.
Yes. We will be making that announcement visible pretty much everywhere, but just keep an eye out for it. The only reason we're not doing it now is because, one, putting it at the end of like a regular episode that's like an hour and a half long is probably not the best place for announcements. Mm-hmm. And also, we haven't figured out, we need to iron out like the last couple wrinkles, like the details, yes. So.
But with that and all of that, I feel like there will be a lot of participation going on in our Discord. And even without anything finalized, come to our Discord anyways. Hang out with us.
Yes.
Talk about your favorite Bocchi the Rock breakdowns.
Yeah. Vote on your phones for your favorite Bocchi freakout. Visually, audioally, all that shit.
So this has been Idle Days.
We've been Lady.
See you next live.
Bye.